Car dealership owner Thomas Bushman for repair costs after purchasing a used car from Thomas.
Rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Oh, Judge. Case number 1144, Gustafson versus Bushman.
Thank you. Gustafson, this your mom?
Yes, it is.
You were in the market for a car.
Yes.
A used car. You had a budget. You went to a place that was owned.
Correct.
Which is a car lot. You own a car lot?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
And you picked out a car.
Yep.
Not a yep. That's a yes. What kind of car did you pick?
A Chrysler 200.
What year?
I believe it's a 2013, but I'm not 100%.
How many miles does it have on it?
I have no idea.
Does your mother know?
Probably.
How old are you?
27.
27. You should know the answers to all these. First car?
No.
What happened to your other cars? Isn't that an answer?
My last one, I actually was in an accident with a deer.
One was totaled.
Yes.
When was that?
May 2nd or 3rd.
And this one was purchased when?
May 27th of 2021.
2013.
Of 90,000 miles, 5,000 to 7,000.
How much did you pay for the car?
7,000. Do I have that one written down?
That's with the tax. It was
Yep.
$64.95.
Without tax?
Yeah.
$64.95.
Great. So, sort of right in the middle. You're not buying it from a private person. You know you're buying it from a lot. Now you can sit down. If I need you again, I'll call you. When you went to look at the car, your mother had bought something called a fix. You know what that is?
Yes.
Tell me what it is.
You plug it into a car sensor and it reads any error codes in the engine.
That's a very good thing to have when you go. And this car had error messages.
Yes, it did. Several.
Let me guess. You were the salesman.
No.
You work for him?
Yes.
Who signed the warrant?
She's not here. The salesperson's not here.
Why?
She's got other issues going on, ma'am. Sorry.
What is he doing here?
He's my mechanic, ma'am, involved in the sale. That's why I didn't think...
Well, you were involved in the sale on the phone.
Correct.
She was involved in the sale, and she signed the warranty slip.
Given permission from me, ma'am.
There were several errors on the car, which should have given you, bing, this may be not the car for me. You bought it anyway, but you were smart enough to get warranty. I'd like to see a copy of that warranty.
Absolutely. And there is a blown up message underneath it, too.
Okay, so a 30-day warranty. Do you have the original?
That is the warrant. It was a verbal agreement. They were
No.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
not a verbal agreement. That's in writing.
Yes, ma'am.
30-day for what? Mr. Bushman, I know she didn't mean this. I know you didn't mean this. But this is what you're represent and what you authorized. Because what happened is Miss Gustafson had trouble with the car. She called you and said she was the engine light went on. Did you speak to him or someone else?
I text the sales girl.
Okay. Well, she's not here. And as a result, you were sent to a mechanic that was a couple of hours away from where you live.
Correct.
Are you the mechanic?
Yes.
Your last name is?
Elias.
Mr. Elias?
Yes.
When she brought the car there, you work in conjunction with the defendant? Do you do all his mechanical work?
Yes.
You work out of your own shop?
Mr. Bushman's shop.
On the same premises where the cars are located? It's the place where you brought the car, where you met Mr. Elias, the place where you purchased the car?
No, it is not, Your Honor.
So it was at a different location?
Yes.
Mr. Elias, when the plaintiff brought you the car, you saw that there were warning lights.
Yes, a check engine light.
Check out the sensor in and you saw that there were certain codes.
One in particular.
Well, you know, one in particular doesn't tell me anything. Do you understand what I mean? When I see a flashing yellow light in the cabin of a plane and a red light of a plane, I only want to see all green. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So one in particular doesn't really tell me anything. Trouble spots did you see when you plugged in the sensor?
The check engine light was on for a possible faulty O2 set.
Anything else?
Not what my machine told me.
Just that one?
Just that one.
So what did you do?
Standard procedure is to clear it.
So you cleared it?
Yes.
You took it off?
Then I
right?
proceeded to start the car 4 times.
Well, she started the car. She drove it to you. She drove it to you. That's not an indication of that everything's okay. That's an indication. If you can clear the error message, problem go away.
The light had stayed in a state that said there was no problem with the car after it was cleared.
When you spoke to your representative, you had to have been advised that this machine that she bought indicated that the car, right?
Yes.
Which is why you said sell him the car, give him a warranty.
Yes, ma'am. So it was under my impression that they did not have a current code that was reading. They said it was under history, but it was there. And I said, that's fine. We'll take care of it. Give her a 30-day warranty. We were only talking about the oxygen sensor.
You see, be okay, Mr. Bushman. And that may be what you meant. But when you have a writing, because you're the business guy, when you have it, you prepared, because your person prepared it. Even when you go in to buy a new car, it says warranty, limited warranty. So to be more specific.
Correct.
What do you think warranty means?
That if anything were to happen within that time limit, that he should have to fix it.
Or you...
No, I didn't. And
So what you did was had work done on the car that was in excess of $4,000. Cost price of the car.
yes,
You made a brand new car. You got new tires.
yes,
You got new brakes.
yes,
You got new everything.
yes.
Yeah, but it's unreasonable.
Nicole Gustafson claims car dealership owner Thomas Bushman owes for repair costs after she's car from his dealership.
Okay.
Ma'am, may I speak, please?
Are you losing so far? So far. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's unreasonable. Sure.
The mechanic that we took it to did state that the
You
tires...
cannot tell me what the mechanic stated. What you can is show me the whole entire bill of what this mechanic did. And if the check engine light was in the engine, I think you were entitled to that back, but not anything else. Not entitled to a brand new car.
Yep.
Good. What?
Yes, ma'am. Thread on number 5 that I have labeled here saying they could go to the dealer of their choice, and I would take care of the oxygen sensor. And specifically
Well, I don't
state
get
that.
modify this. Ex parte, one side, can't modify this contract. But there's a reasonableness read into this car and pay the value of the car, which she did. She paid the value of the car, paid an extra couple of bucks because that covers your expenses, and that there was a check engine on. I have to see what else she did in the car, because that would be an unreasonable interpretation of this to now make this car worth $11,000.
I did try to negotiate with him.
Oh, just a second. I asked you for a question. I just want to see what they did. This is a paid invoice. You're not entitled to. An alignment you're not entitled to. Transmission oil. Customer states replace transmission cooler hose. Elias, since you're the mechanic, would you find on here replace both license plate bulbs, ridiculous, cooler? Kevin, show Mr. Elias this. Give him a pen, please. And have him circle the items, anything that had to do with the check engine light, that had nothing to do with bulbs, that had nothing that had to do with a check engine light. Circle them, please, because that's a reasonable interpretation of what the warranty is. You read all the pages?
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Elias. 2 upseam oxygen sensors. 206, a lot of math that I hate. You know, math is not my favorite subject. Okay, I got this one, Sarah.
Right.
Well, then they added was for labor. Labor that has to do with the whole project. And if you add to that a piece of this for the labor, if $600 for the labor for everything that they fixed. So you have $600 plus the 206. Now, he sent you some money.
Correct.
How much did he send you?
$400.
What did you do with the check?
I still have it.
Okay, I suggest you cash. He owes you $406 because you didn't, nor did your mother actually reasonably believe he was going to
No.
put on tires and brakes. You have an opportunity. You could have said, I want to take this car to my mechanic, right?
Yes.
And check it out. You didn't. What?
Can I say something?
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to say, in Wisconsin, we have something called a disclosure law. And on that, he had put that including, you're supposed to, in Wisconsin, you have to tell somebody if there's a little leak, if there's any issues. So he marked it all that everything on the. Now we didn't.
No, just a second.
Redo
I
it
want
until.
I would like you to show me where he said everything in the car was perfect.
Yep, no problem.
I would like to see it.
It's two different ones.
Well,
that are
just a
different.
second. If he said, who said?
Which I don't know if it's the mechanic or the owner. It's signed that every car was in perfect order.
No, just a second. I'm just reading this. Okay. He says it must be in proper working condition. Miss Gus, you drove this car for 2 hours, you say in your complaint, from someplace to his shop.
Correct.
You on a highway?
Yes.
Highway?
Yes.
When you got off the highway, did you brake to stop?
Yes.
You didn't stick your foot out.
No.
So the brakes worked. Car drove for at least 2 hours.
Yep.
Yeah, not
Yes.
yup. That's yes. $406. We're finished. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Court is adjourned.
I'm not unhappy with it. I never actually expected him to pay the $4,000, just what I thought he should pay.
I do feel like we got taken advantage of. We sold over 3,000 cars the last 11 years of lawsuit that we've ever had.
After he cleared the codes, I said, well, we brought the car here to be fixed, not for you to just clear all those codes out. And he said, can't fix what isn't there anymore.
I never said that to her at all.
Definitely bring one of them fixed tools.
It's over. It's done with. We can move on. But fortunately, I don't think it was fair, but that's life sometimes, right?
I think this is a good lesson for business owners that if you're going to provide a warranty or a service, understand that this was his representative that just wrote 30-day warranty, but you're going to be bound by that. So if it's important to you to limit it to a certain sensor or a certain issue, be sure to put that in writing because, as you said, you can't one-sided change the contract.
Can't modify what's in writing. Yes, but you have to build in, I think that you have to build reasonableness into that warranty. And her mother was wrong. When you buy a used car, nothing is in perfect condition. And in perfect condition, sometimes when you buy a new car.
True.
And even in a new car, you have limited warranties. But really, it's on the merchant who contract to specify what is included in this warranty. It's a very good lesson.
Case number 1007, Sacred versus Santana. Please step forward.
Acra is suing her cousin, Chanel Santana, for unpaid rent, property damage, and a personal loan.
You're Brittany Sikar?
Your Honor.
And this is your cousin?
Yes,
Were you close cousins?
always.
Tell me when your cousin moved in with you.
She moved in of June of 2000.
Why?
She had gotten evicted from her apartment and she needed a place to go, so I had a basement apartment for rent.
Miss Santana, why were you evicted apartment?
I started having seizures and I was on a leave of absence for work for quite some time, and it took me a while to catch up,
So you payment of rent.
yes.
And I assume that when you moved in with your cousin, you told her why you were evicted.
Yes.
That would be natural.
Yes, she did.
Were you Was there any reason why you didn't catch up with rent in your old apartment?
It was just too much. I fell behind maybe about like 2 months. I was on a leave of absence for trying to pay current and back pay. It wasn't.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Got it. You agreed to pay rent when you moved in?
Yes, I did.
And how much rent were you going to pay? Moved in what month and year?
June of 2019.
Did you pay rent in June?
Yes, ma'am.
The whole $950?
Yes.
Yes.
I paid the full $950.
What about August?
Yes.
How long did you stay with your cousin?
A little over a year and a half.
About.
December of 2020.
Did you pay rent in December?
No, ma'am.
Did you stay there at all in December?
Barely.
What is it?
I was traveling a lot.
But your things were there?
Yes.
Okay. In what date in December did you remove your things?
Like the 30th.
Okay, so you 30th. If your things are there, you're there. That's the rule.
Brittany Sacra claims her cousin, Chanel Santana, owes for a personal loan and damaging her property.
Okay. Did you pay rent in November?
No.
Why not?
Wasn't able to.
Tell me why not.
Well, aside or outside of my job situation, when she crashed my car, it was kind of like an even trade.
Okay. So you want to get into an accident she had when she was driving your car?
Yes.
And when was that accident?
That was in March of 2020.
So in March of 2020, she had an accident with your car because I papers. But you paid rent to her in March and April and May and June and July and September and October, right? You paid rent.
Yes.
So what made you decide in November of 2020 that it was a trade-off with the car?
A previous conversation that we had, and being that she had purchased, the home from her mom, I was just trying to be as helpful as I could while I was in a But then once I lost my job in July, it was hard for me to really keep up with anything.
Well, you lost your job in July, but you did, in fact, continue November.
Well, she didn't pay October's rent, Your Honor. She didn't pay for October, she didn't pay November, and she didn't pay December.
So there was an additional month of October.
Yes. Talking about it was in 2019 because I got ticketed and I had to pay hundreds of dollars for tickets for her vehicle.
Did you crash her car?
I did. That hit the vehicle, yes. But I gave her $1,000 for her deductible.
Are you still driving that car?
No, her vehicle, it was her vehicle and it was up for repossession.
Okay. After the accident, was she still able to drive the car?
No.
Okay, so that must have been a pretty substantial accident.
Correct.
Able to drive it. You weren't able to drive it. Did you have permission to drive the car that night?
Yes, she did give me permission.
Okay. $950 times 30.
$150, Your Honor.
Tell me why you moved out of the apartment.
Aside from... Sorry about that.
Tell me why you moved out of the apartment. Don't think about what's nice, what I want to hear.
Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not that. Aside from her saying that I wasn't paying her rent, which I felt like I didn't need to. It was also, the situation with her boyfriend or I don't know what you want to call it, but it became too much of a stressful and strenuous situation for me.
Okay, so there was some sort of...
Yes, it was a lot of friction between him and I.
Okay, well, as far as the rent is concerned, there's no question that you owe her $28 for the 3 months that you didn't pay rent. You have no counterclaim that has anything to do with the car, so I don't have to hear anything more about the car. What else do you think your cousin owes?
She owes me for damages that she has done to my property, the furniture she left in my home.
So she just left it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, just a second. Do you have a receipt from the person who removed the trash from the home?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it. Kevin?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nothing. That's a nothing that I believe.
Okay.
It's a something that you buy in the store.
Oh, that's
and
what
you
was given
make a
to me
blow
by the
up,
person that
and you make a
removed it.
blow up. $850. What's next?
The damages that she did to the basement apartment. I had to purchase a brand new stove because she ruined that.
Stove that was there.
It was a year old.
You have the bill for the stove that was there?
Yes, I have the receipt for the one that I purchased.
Not the new one that you purchased, the one that was existing there.
No, I don't.
I'm not interested.
Okay. I also have for the unpaid loans that I had lent her money for.
Okay. Now, you want loans? Tell me when you made loans to her and what purpose.
They were for various different things. I'm
not talking about you giving your cousin $10 there, $50 there. I'm talking about a loan that you made to her that she asked you for, and you said you have to pay me back, and she didn't. I'm going to ask you, why did you give her any more money if she hadn't paid you back the original money? So let's start out. Month, day, or you made her the first loan?
Well, I had given her a loan to get her tooth extracted.
Month, day, and year?
This was February 25th of 2020, and it was for $419.95.
Miss Santana, did you pay her back the...
No.
Okay. What's next?
And then I also had a bank transfer to her on July 22nd of 2020 for $300.
For what?
She said that she needed to pay because she had gotten a DUI. She had 2, and she had to pay her attorney.
What's next?
And the rest were just small personal loans that I had lent her money.
All together now?
$3,055.95, Your Honor.
55?
Yes.
Anything else?
Aside from the cash apps, no.
When was the last time you...
The day I moved out.
Do you see each other at family get-togethers? Anything else?
No.
No, I won't come if she's there.
Okay, then. Is that because of this money, or is that because of a social situation?
It's both.
36, 55, 55?
95.
Your
95.
Honor, I also deep clean that I had to pay for when she moved out of my property because she left it in disgusting manner.
Okay. You'd have to clean it anyway. 36-5, judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Court adjourned.
Yeah, probably should pay her back for the $2 and the $386 that she loaned me. But besides that type of back pay or rent or anything like that.
She left my apartment filthy and disgusting, so I believe I should have got the full amount.
She asked her if she had permission. She didn't ask him.
The car was up for repo because, of course, she doesn't pay her bills.
I mean, it is what it is.
Now, I don't even know why I even let her move in. This is not the first time or the first family member she's done this to.
Seems to be more to that case than just some unpaid rent amongst cousins. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right. I think that there was social stuff going on there. You know, we had a case just recently with relatives living together, and it's really very hard to live with somebody else. And sometimes when that happens and it doesn't work out, then whole families are torn apart. You know, everybody takes sides. Good advice. Live separately when you can. Get together and I don't know what to tell you. But I do think he showed her the rent. Anyway.
His neighbor, Varlin Devuti, for assault, extortion, and harassment.
All rise. Court.
Be seated, please.
Good morning, Judge. We have case number 1027, Schultz versus Devuti. Okay.
Mr. Schultz, you and Mr. Devuti are neighbors.
Yes.
You've been living in your present apartment for 2 years, according to your complaint.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant moved in with his mother a couple of years ago. How long ago?
Off and on, since my mom and I have been going back and forth, but permanently moved in about last November.
So a year. You moved in full-time because you have to care for your mother?
Correct. And my dad passed.
Your mom?
80.
She's a kid.
Still young at heart, just like you.
She have any health problems?
Yes, heart problems, diabetes.
Been alone?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Devuti?
I do credit restoration now.
Is it your own company?
No, I work for a company.
And you, Mr. Schultz, what kind of...
Semi-retired, and I'm also an author.
Semi-retired from what?
I worked on computers.
Tell me what size apartment you have.
It's a house, and there's two separate...
So you live on one side, Mr. Devuti and his mother are now on the other?
That's correct.
Front and back.
So it's the same building?
It's the same building.
And what is your rent?
7
bedrooms do you have?
1.
And that's rent controlled?
Yes, it is.
Do you have any idea, Mr. Schultz, how much would your apartment be on the open market today?
Probably $1,800.
Your landlord would love you to move.
Yes, ma'am. Very much.
I bet. Does your mother pay rent to the landlord?
Of course.
What is her rent?
8.
Same size apartment?
Ours is smaller, I believe.
This unfortunate situation is about the two of you who don't get along. Each of you claim that the other assaulted them on a particular... I have to get my glasses on. Whitney, you don't wear glasses. This happened on, but I think that the day we're talking about, the alleged assault happened on the 29th of November, 2020. So let's talk about that date. I want you to tell me, where were you on the 29th of November, 2020?
I was in my garage working on my bike.
And that's a garage that you share with Mr. Don't share with Mr.
No, it's a garage that it's my own garage, and he has another garage next to mine.
You were in your garage. Did he come to your garage? Tell me slowly what happened. You're in your garage fixing your bike, and...
Mr. Devuti was walking down the driveway, and I couldn't figure out what he was saying. And he said, "That was very uncool of you to tell the landlord that I was unpacking my stuff in the backyard."
Had you told the landlord Mr. Devuti's stuff?
Yes, I asked him.
Just a second. What had you seen, and what had you told the landlord?
I'd seen him spread his stuff all over the...
Stuff?
Clothes, equipment, belongings. I assumed he was moving them from one house to another.
Well, why did you think that required a telephone call to the landlord?
For 3 days, and I'd asked him to move it.
Okay. Where were you, and what did you say to him?
And I just said, "Are you going to be moving this?" And he said, "I'll move it when I'm ready."
Okay.
So I said, "Okay." And I called the landlord, and I texted the landlord, and I told him that he's got his stuff all over the place. I can't do anything. And would you please ask him to move it?
Is it ultimately moved?
Over a long period of time.
Was it ultimately moved?
Yes.
Do you know if it was put out for trash or just moved?
It was all basically still there and compiled into different sections of the backyard.
That was on his side of the house?
No, the backyard was a common area.
I know, but you're not going in back of his house. If the house is, you would stay on your side.
Okay.
So was it compacted and moved onto the part of the backyard that looks as if it's attached to his side.
It was all over the backyard. It was lining the backyard.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Once he moved it,
okay.
Are you being thick or you just don't understand?
No, he didn't. It was the entire backyard. It wasn't in one area.
I said to you, once he moved it, you said ultimately he moved it. He moved it into one side of the backyard. I asked him, the simple question was, did he move it to a part of the backyard that looks as if it's part of his backyard rather than a part of your backyard?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be a yes.
Yeah, sure.
And you say that took a couple of days.
It took a long time, longer than a couple of days.
I assume you got a call from the landlord. Don't tell me what the...
She never did. He never did because those were gone within a day. That was the day I moved.
That was the day you moved in?
Correct. Like I said before, it was November, so that's when 3 months before, which is a lie again.
I'm here as a peacemaker. Thank you. I'm trying.
Thank you.
To be a peacemaker because there's no...
Love you.
You are not moving with your 80-year-old mother anywhere. And Mr. Schultz, who has the deal of a lifetime, which allows him to go back and be semi-retired and a novelist instead of working, he's not moving anywhere.
And harassing.
So, Mr. I want you to understand, I would ordinarily say to one of you, listen, you got to move. You know, life is too short to be attached to somebody that you not only don't love, but you can't. So you got to learn to coexist. I know that that's hard, but you really have to learn to coexist.
Right.
So,
and a bunch of text saying.
So he moved his stuff, Mr. Schultz, and then, according to you, he came up to you in the garage, said, wasn't cool of you to call the landlord.
That's correct.
And what happened next?
I stood up. He kept walking towards me. We got very close enough to almost butt heads.
When you got up, did you remain in your garage?
Yes, I did.
So he actually came into your garage?
Yes.
You have to be very careful with me. Are you telling me that Mr. DeVuti stepped into your garage?
No.
Let's be he did not come into your garage. So you stood up and walked out of your garage towards him.
As he was walking towards me, I walked towards him, yes.
That's the answer.
Okay. That's true.
How do I know that? I know everything.
Schultz says his neighbor, Varlin DeVuti, Varlin is countersuing for the same assault and wrongfully towing his car.
So you got up from the bike, didn't stay by the bike, towards him, and he was walking towards you, and he said that was very uncool, and now you're standing toe-to-toe, close to each other. Before you tell me the story, make very, very sure that I don't catch you in another fib. Do you understand?
You didn't catch me in a fib.
Whitney, let's go back to where he first discusses where he was when the defendant came up to him. Memory is correct, something about he didn't move. Question that I asked him whether or not he stood up and whether or not the defendant garage.
Yes, he said close enough to only butt heads, foreheads, touch heads, and you said you got up. When you got up, did you remain in your garage? And he said, yes, I did.
You didn't remain in your garage. You walked towards him and you left the garage.
I walked towards him after that.
After what?
After he started talking to me and was walking towards me, I stood up.
No. Mr. Schultz.
All right.
Mr. Schultz.
Look, I misunderstood the question then, ma'am.
Then you misunderstood the question. So now I'm going to get back to walking towards him. He's walking towards you, face to face. And what happened next?
He grabbed me by the throat
he
choked me to where I couldn't
breathe. Up to you, and the first thing that he did to you was put his hands around your neck.
He put his one hand around my neck.
Okay, and what happened next?
He choked me until I couldn't breathe.
With his one hand. What happened next?
I punched him to get his hand off me.
You punched him where?
In the face.
And then what happened?
And he let go.
And then what happened?
And I walked back and I called.
Where?
Towards my house.
Were you going through the garage or were you going through the entrance to the house?
I was walking back up the driveway to my house.
Where were you when you called the police? So you went from his putting his hand on you, you punched him in the face, you went into the house, picked up the phone and called the police.
I have my cell phone with me.
And ultimately the police came to your house and asked you for a report of the events.
Right.
And you told the police what you just... that the defendant came onto your driveway, said something to you, not cool of you to call the landlord, then around your neck and left a mark on your neck. And you punched him in order to let him let go of your throat and back into your house and waited for the police.
Yep.
Now, Prior to this incident on the 29th, you had had some prior confrontations, Judy, according to the complaint, about your cats.
Yes, ma'am.
How many cats do you have?
One cat that's inside and 3 outside.
Did the 3 outside cats ever...
In a while, yes.
Are they fed inside or outside?
Both.
So they do come inside?
Yes, they do.
But I assume you only keep 1 litter box for the 1 cat that's in...
Litter boxes.
Okay, so you have 2 litter boxes for 4 cats.
Correct.
And the 3 cats that are outside only come in sometimes.
That's right.
I gather from reading the complaint of this conflict had to do with your cats.
I imagine it does, yes.
Yes. I don't want you to tell me whether you think it's true or not, whether you believe that it is. I want you to tell me what Mr. DeVudi's complaint was about your cats, because he ultimately confronted you about the cats at some point, I assume, after he... And do you remember when that conversation took place?
Between the time that he moved in and then the 29th.
Okay. What was the first conversation? Where did that take place?
Text message.
I'd like to see the text message. So at some point he had your phone number. Had you given him your phone number?
Yes, we exchanged phone numbers.
And that was cordial enough?
Yes.
Great.
Started out very cordial. I don't have it with me. It's on my phone.
Sorry, there's
phone?
groups.
I'll look at it up. Whoever gets it to be first, you can look for it on your phone. May I have it, please? Thank you, Kevin.
I found it, Your Honor.
This is on November 2nd.
Okay.
Hey, Don, that would be you. Would you please move the cat food plates containers to your side in front driveway by the door that we and others walk by? Sounds like a perfectly reasonable request. Those plates constantly end up by our door and make a mess. During the day, roaches at night, possums are becoming there because of those. So it's causing a lot of issues, honestly, and it's not nice to look at them, those big, nasty cat litter boxes in front and back of our doors. Horrendous smell. Just a second. Is that correct?
Pieces. That's what I meant, not the boxes. Sorry.
Cat litter
Right.
in front and back of our doors. A horrendous smell it's causing.
Yes.
Everyone that's what the horrendous odor is, and then you say
Right.
the smell and where it's coming from. It's just embarrassing. Can't even sit outside or keep the doors open. Washing daily, it's getting too much. Where's his response? Where's your response to that? That was November 2nd that he
November
sent.
2nd.
I'd like to see it. Answered him and said, I've been doing my best to keep everybody happy, but I will keep trying. Then he said, then the dead rats they bring all the time. This is too much. Can't have my 80-year-old widowed mother clean up after your 4 cats or pick up dead rats and deal with the flies anymore. We need. It's not nice, my man. It's made to sound like I'm doing it on purpose to just make everybody else upset. That's not my nature. Know that. And then you respond to him, these are your cats or stray cats you feeding, and we're doing all the cleaning and dealing with the flies smell. And you write, they're my cats. Then got to clean up and make them keep clean and keep them on your side. That's what every responsible not just feed them and let them loose for others to suffer with the consequences. That's not fair. Also true.
Defendant is countersuing his neighbor, Don Schultz, for an assault and towing charges. Don claims he was the one assaulted by Varlin.
Now, stupid about putting more than 1 plate out there. I should only put 1 plate and then issue it's empty. I pick sorry, but just waking up every morning smelling crap and looking at dirty plates and bombarded by flies isn't cool. Move those, see that, and deal with it. Get the litter cleaned up every morning if you care. Thanks again. Just 4 families that came over yesterday and all 4 the same thing, plus others. It's really embarrassing. Then they get disgusted by all the flies that are here because of you and your cats. You know we are supposed to care for each other, have each other's backs, help each other. Be chilled, just like I've been doing. Thanks for listening and moving those and moving forward. And you say, as far as putting them on your side, I'll put them on the other side of the step. That hasn't even occurred to me because I've been putting in years. My cats don't bring rats because they're fed. By the way, Cats that are outside bring gifts. Many gifts, dead bird monks, dead rats, whatever they can find. That's what they do, and they bring presents home to their owner.
His doesn't.
I know. I had cats.
Not his, though.
Shh. We're building bridges here. Right, which I'm fine with killing the rats. Cats don't eat them. They play and they something about rats. Just that my dad and I have picked up a few and seen you passing by and just leaving it there for us to pick up. That's all I'm saying. My dad didn't pick them up anymore. Thanks, buddy. If I ever see a rat, I have never once passed it up without picking it up. And if I passed it up, it was because I went to the back of the house to get them back out immediately and pick it up. So that was a misinterpretation. So I'm not one to pass a dead animal or rodent and leave it there. That's not me. That was a mist. I picked up a rat just yesterday and threw it in the trash. I thought you knew that because you were walking around when I did. Oh, I'm sorry. I was supposed to pick up that 5 months along with their every day. I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm trying to work with you. Please don't talk to me like that. I saw 1 rat. I picked it up. 5 rats. I would have picked up 5 rats. Okay, right now I'm on the phone regarding my own father, so when I have more time, let's talk about it later. I will get out up the place. That's you. And what you're doing, sir, is leaving these paper plates out there with food because I have a photo. It's not cool.
I pick them up every day.
It's not cool.
As soon as they finish.
It's not cool.
Okay.
If they're your cats, feed them inside. Then the litter box may be inside. Then you say to him at some point, call the police, because that's what he's threatened to do. Laugh out loud. And you? Been nothing but nice and respectful. Anything you asked, I did right away, yes or no. But you haven't. All I asked you was to put the plate on side so we don't get all the flies and roaches and animals and get bombarded with flies every time we pass into our house. So it's hard to understand, but I see what you're doing, and my friend who was visiting also sees what you're doing. You approached me about this yesterday, Varlin. You haven't given me a reasonable amount of anything. You know my strife and what I am going through, and it's not possible to jump to your need immediately. Well, all you had to do was put the cat food inside.
I did.
That took time. It takes just as much time to put the cat food outside as it does to put the cat food down inside.
My cats couldn't always come in. 2 of my cats are outdoor only. I'm outside like I've been doing for 15 years.
No, you say at the beginning of this case, you said 1 is inside all the time, and the other 3 come in and out. She's not going to go back and read that. That's what you said.
Done eating, I brought the plates in every time. I've got a video that shows that.
I'm going to tell you something, sir. Don't put the food outside. Okay, good. If you do anything to hurt my cats, I will call the police. Did he threaten your cats? I don't see that.
His dog chases my cats.
Okay.
I don't have a dog.
He lets his dog chase my cats when they're trying to eat.
Just a second. What kind of dog?
I don't know. It's a Labrador or something like that.
I just got it 2 months ago. He just said back then. It's a little puppy, 8 weeks old.
Well, this is back from November.
Right, so he lied again.
Shh.
I was talking about present day. Okay.
Back here.
Mm-hmm.
Back
I'm
then,
talking about
he would
back here.
chase my cats on foot himself. He'd chase my cats away from their food. He'd open his door and he'd run out and he'd yell at them and scream at them and they'd have to run away and they wouldn't be able to eat.
Okay.
I've got a video that shows it.
Just a second. What I'm asking, not a video to show that, Mr. Schultz.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you just bring the food inside?
I didn't bring the food inside because the 2 cats couldn't come in at that time to feed them outside.
What do you mean they couldn't come in at that time? When we
That's
started?
what I mean. They couldn't come in at that time.
Kevin, would you have a conversation with the plaintiff? There's only one person that raises their voice here.
Thank you.
You may not want to raise your voice at the judge.
Okay.
Nice, what we deal with.
And I just want to let you know, when you
I'm already the
display a
bad guy
temper,
here. There's nothing else I can do.
display, just a second, when you display a temper in here, I'm trying to help you, sir. Display a temper in here in probably the most reserved atmosphere, and you can't control yourself from a temper.
I agree.
That does not sit well with the person who has to adjudicate.
It just feels like I'm already being made out to be the bad guy
here.
Just
a second, to his side of the story.
All right.
James Stewart II is suing his son, James Stewart III, for tow and impound fees, traffic tickets.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Case
Morning.
number 1045, Stewart versus Stewart.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Stewart, this is your son.
Yes, ma'am.
How old is he?
He's 32.
Your claim is that he owes you fines, traffic tickets, impound fees for a truck that you either gave him or he borrowed. What I gather from it is you became aware that there was a warrant outstanding for your son's arrest.
Yes, ma'am.
When did that occur?
On the 1st of June or 20, I had a city marshal from the North Virginia Police Department knock on my door looking for my son, stating that...
Don't tell me what he said. Are you an outstanding warrant for your arrest, Mr. Stewart?
Not until that time.
Okay. Did you become aware subsequently what that warrant was for? What
traffic tickets?
What kind of traffic tickets?
No insurance.
No insurance on... No insurance on what?
On the previous vehicle that I'd owned.
Okay.
This was from years ago.
So you say that there was a no insurance, one or more than one?
Just one.
Now, I'd like you to tell me, since you say it was a couple of years ago, I'd like you to tell me what the specific circumstances were. Because, you know, as a thinking person, I'm driving along, and for no reason, a police car pulls me over, says, I'd like to see your insurance card. Now, I've lived 7+ decades.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been driving 6+ decades. To me, ever been pulled over for an insurance card?
No, ma'am.
Ever been pulled over for an insurance card?
No.
No.
100 years here of driving.
Right.
So you want to tell me the circumstances how your car was pulled over for a lack of an insurance card?
I didn't have my insurance card on me at the time, and because I didn't have it, I was cited for it.
No. Pulled you over for something. What did they pull you over for?
I think at the time it was for...
No, think hard. The questions are going to get harder.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm one of those people that you can't get over.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So what were you pulled over for?
Not signaling at a red light.
Benign. Not signaling on a red light. Was that ticket dismissed?
No, ma'am, it was not.
Okay. Now, at the time did you have a driver's license?
Yes, ma'am.
A valid driver's license?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you only get one ticket?
Yes, ma'am. Just for the no insurance.
Did you subsequent?
Yes, ma'am. After that, I did.
With what company?
Geico.
And what kind of car was that?
A 1997 Ford F-150.
Well, that's the car. Does it look like I'm having trouble with him? I'm enjoying myself.
Okay. Okay.
Same year and make of car that's in question. So you had a truck, just like the father gave you before.
Similar, yes, ma'am.
Not there.
Same year, same make.
Same year.
Same model.
Same make, same model. What, Mr. Stewart, does it look? I believe him.
No, ma'am.
Look this. Does it look like I believe him? He's making it up as he's going along. So it's sort of joyous for me.
Oh, okay. You're the judge. Yes,
How
ma'am.
many, do you have a copy of the warrant?
Well, all I have here, Your Honor, is what the city marshal left me.
May I?
And he,
What was the total fine for this alleged one ticket, sir?
I think it was close to $1,500, ma'am.
In any event, now I know with whom I'm dealing. I'll come back to you. So this marshal came to your door looking for your son. Your son at that time, according to you, wasn't living with you.
correct.
But you were aware that this wasn't the marshals came looking for him.
Well, I was informed that he had already talked to the marshal and he had made previous plans to show up.
About with regard to a total other matter. Did you ever have a warrant issued for you, sir, for non-payment of child support?
No, ma'am, that's not necessarily.
What do you mean not?
There wasn't a warrant issued for my arrest. I was in court when I got arrested for it.
Okay, so you were in court. What court were you in and when you got arrested for child support?
It was family court, and it was in 2019, February 2019.
Okay, now, did you, while you were in the courthouse?
They actually made a ruling right there and arrested me as soon as they made the ruling.
Oh, no, that wasn't a warrant for your arrest, sir. The contempt of a court order.
Yes, ma'am.
That sounds more like it. So you went before a judge. The judge had given you time to pay your child support. You did not. How many give you to pay your child support?
Not too many, Your Honor.
Not too many. More than 2 or less than 2?
Less than 2.
No, didn't happen. You would, but there's no question about that. Nobody arrests somebody the second time they didn't pay their child support. How many times were you given a chance to start court?
I was actually battling this for, it was a 2-year deal that I battled with my ex, and
No, the judge had not with the battle with your ex. The judge had ruled that you're supposed to pay this amount either in permanent child support or temporary child support. You didn't pay it. Judge said, I'm going to give you another chance to pay it. I mean, a quarter of a century.
Yes, ma'am.
I know the routine. It's a pretty set routine. He said, come back, pay the child support. You didn't. Come back, pay the child support. You didn't.
It was two times. The first time they gave me a warning. The second time they arrested me.
Oh, okay. Well, so you got fair warning.
I guess you could say that.
Fair warning. Okay, so they were in jail?
Yes, ma'am.
How much time?
7 months.
You come from the state of?
Texas.
Texas.
No, ma'am, they do not.
James Stewart II claims his son, James Stewart III, owes for towing charges, fees, and traffic tickets he received while driving his dad's car.
Now, how much child support did you owe?
A little under $19,000.
How old is the child?
14 now.
And what was the amount of the child support order that you were supposed to pay?
It was, I had to make $165 is what I think it was.
Sounds like you didn't make a few payments if the arrears were up to $19,000.
Well, something like that. Over a period of 3 years, it's just missed payments periodically because of loss of job or whatever reason.
Do you still owe the $19,000?
No, ma'am.
Did you pay it?
Yes, ma'am.
Over a 2-year period?
Over about 2.5 years, yes, ma'am.
Anybody help you make the payments?
No, ma'am.
Was this the first time you spent? Silly, right?
Very.
How much did you owe in the parking tickets? $1,500?
$1,500, yes, ma'am.
Did your father call and tell you for you?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
And do you remember what day he called you? Was it June 1st?
It was around the 1st of June, yes, ma'am.
Do you remember the conversation that you had?
It was brief.
Well, relay it to me.
Son, they came here looking for you for warrants. You need to get on paying this. I then told him because I was going through divorce. My mother had just passed away as well. I was also in between jobs, having just got out from the child support thing. And I told him, you know, I'm going to get on this, get a job and get money. He then told me, well, we need to get this taken care of because I don't need them coming by my house like this. And we went down there and he made the initial payment. $385, I think.
Excuse me, Judge. I gave him $400. He never gave me back my change, so.
Well, that's your debt.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that still leaves a lot of money. That still leaves about $1,200.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay it?
Yes, ma'am, over a period of time.
What about the answer to that again? Did you pay the $1,200?
Yes. Not all at once.
I don't mean all at once of it.
I did, in payments, installments, yes, ma'am. That was the initial agreement with the marshal.
I understand what the agreement was. My question to you is, did you off the $1,200? Be careful of your answer, Mr. Stewart.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
When was your last payment, Mr. Stewart?
This had to have been months ago, ma'am. Almost a year. They actually ended up picking me up too, and I had to sit the rest of it out, all the rest. So I didn't actually have to pay the entire, set out the rest of what I didn't pay in jail.
What do you mean you sat out?
Sat in jail, ma'am.
So you didn't pay the rest of the tickets?
Well, they picked me up with payments, yes, ma'am.
Final payments. And how much time did you spend in jail this time?
Just a few days.
And that was for contempt of a court. Agreed to make that an order. $385 down, and the rest was supposed to be paid at $192 a month.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, trouble with your story, and then I'm going to get to your father in a minute. Sad father. This all happened a year ago when the marshal came to your house, gotten out of jail, which means you didn't have a job. And somehow, you're telling me that you managed to pay off $1,000 in back child support in the last year while you were not working, according to you, and I'm incarcerated for not paying $192 a month. So is what you're asking me to believe is that you paid off $1,000 in back child support. Take a deep breath and say something that we over here can understand.
The whole incident with me and him happened, and I did have a job. There was a 6-month time there where I got out and...
Yeah, but you can't save $19,000, unless you hit it really hot in the market.
I understand that, ma'am. I was also making payments on top of payments to get the back child support paid.
Off $19,000.
I didn't have to pay it all off, ma'am, because she waived what I didn't pay off because I'd spent the jail time and everything. I'd done the 7 months in jail.
All right, but you're you're probably a loving parent, and you keep keeping your fingers crossed and saying that it'll all turn. Doesn't look to me as if it's all turning around. Okay. Now, at the time that he had $385 paid down payment, pay the rest because he spent time in jail for not paying the rest off. You also gave him a truck.
Well, I told him that I would give him my pickup truck, 97, and that you got to have a horse in Texas. You got to have a horse, period, if you want to get around and survive in this world. And I told him I would give him that truck, you know, get a job, get back and forth, and he could have the truck, get a job, work 3 or 4 months, save a little money, and take that truck, some money, and go get. And that's what I did. Well, when we showed up to pay the tickets at City Hall, my son conveniently left his wallet at home. He told me, Dad,
$185. There's no question about that. He understands that's his fine, and he has to pay it.
So,
we're talking about the truck.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now
the truck was not going to leave my yard until he paid the payment on the down payment and got that taken care of.
Well, just a second. That's not what you told, because the truck did leave your yard, and he did, in fact, have the down payment made by you, and he didn't pay you back the $385.
That is correct.
So when you...
Well, I gave him the truck to go get the money because he promised me he was going to bring it back to me within the hour.
You keep, Mr. Stewart, make sure you're consistent. You wrote in your complaint. And so far, you're not being consistent with what you wrote in your complaint, because your complaint says that you gave him the car and was that he get the car registered in his own name and get insurance. That's what you said.
Yes, ma'am, I sure did. Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's impossible, because nobody's going to a car with all those tickets in his name. No state, not even Texas.
Well, I realize that now, ma'am, because 3 months later, I get a call saying my car had been on the side of the road.
Well, just a second, I understand that. Your truck's been abandoned on the side of the road. It was still in your name. There were impound fees.
Yes, ma'am.
And certain toll fines or other fines that were on the truck when he had it. So he had the truck from June 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
Did the truck break down, Mr. Stewart?
I believe that was in July, at the end of July. Yes, ma'am.
July of 2020. Now, I'd like to see the...
Well, Judge, I got...
No, let me just see it.
Find it here. After he left in the truck and did not come back, I see him.
Could I just see the dates of the tickets?
Well, I don't have no tickets on the truck. All I have the dates on the when the truck was impounded.
No, tickets that you allegedly paid.
Well, I paid the down payment for his payment plan, which he was supposed to pay me back within the hour.
Okay.
And he's the one that got things, and I tried to get a copy of that, but I did notify the marshal.
Just a second. I just told you the $385 in fines. He owes you things. What you said was you had to go in, pay impound fees.
Yes, ma'am.
You got somebody to tow it out of impound, and then you get...
Well, I took it home and sat in my backyard for another 6 weeks. And he called me on the phone saying, I'm going to come to get my truck. I said, no, you're not going to come and get the truck. First of all, it's not out of my name, and it needs a water pump. So it wasn't going anywhere. But he did show up a few days following that with a water pump himself, I was quite impressed. Thank God for YouTube. And I told him before the truck leaves my yard, I'm going to see insurance on him. Told me proof of insurance where he had paid through Geico, I believe it was. And he was on his way down to the courthouse to have it transferred out of my name into his name, which, now again, I trust him and wanted to believe him.
Okay.
Defendant James Stewart III not paying towing costs, impound fees, and toll charges he collected while driving his dad's car.
Now, fool me once, shame on you, shame on me.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you deal with children, sometimes it's twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. You know, you keep hoping. Now your son owes you $385, period. And his responsibility, so far you've had 0, except the fact that he put in a water pump with YouTube. You've had 0 luck with his responsibility.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay. So far, he owes you $385.
Oh, well, yes, ma'am. When I went to get the truck out of impound, it cost me, which I have the year right here. Here's the impound, what it cost to get it, and here's what I paid to rent a trailer. And also at the time when I went and got it, I had a broken ankle and on crutches, so I had to pay somebody to go with me to help me to retrieve the truck, get it on the trailer, and bring it back to Fort Worth.
Why did you do that?
Well,
it wasn't running.
It was still in my name, so I felt like I was obligated to do that, ma'am.
Well, What you have to do is you have to pay the impound fees and then tell him to junk it.
Well, I
Unless,
was
you did.
hoping I'd take it back home and fix it and realize that, you know, life goes on when you stumble in life. And
yeah, that's what you chose to do as a father. He owes you $385.
Well, then I got another matter here, ma'am, to where he was using the toll roads, and instead of
that, I would like to see if he, during the time that he had the truck, if he or got any fines, that I'll see.
And I'm really don't understand the if I'm being sued or not. I'm not quite clear on that. I just received that in.
What address do you live at, Mr.
Now it's Thistle Park Drive, and that's in Fort Worth.
And what about you, sir? Where do you live?
I live at Smithville Road.
Know when these fines were from, sir?
Well, ma'am,
it doesn't say. It just said that there's a previous balance of $768 that had not been paid. Payment due August of 2021. If you have any dates there that
yes, ma'am, yes, sir,
indicate when these tickets were from. I don't understand this, Mr. Stewart. They sent you, because the notices come to you at your address. It indicates that they sent you a first notice, a second, a third notice.
Yes, ma'am.
A first, second, and third. And it all came to you. Didn't come to him.
Well, when he first got out of jail, ma'am, he was giving my address as his own.
Well, I understand that, sir.
But yes, ma'am, they did come to me because the truck was still in my name.
That I understand. So when you got the first notices, you know, before it gets up to $800, the first notice that they sent you was $43 and a $10 for late fees. And then they sent you a second notice the next month, and then the late fee on that was $25.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, pay it or contact him. So you weren't surprised when you got this for $783 because you've been getting them all along.
Well, I tried to contact you, keep the truck off the tollway.
Okay. Mr. Stewart, at a certain point, fool me once.
Right.
Shame on you.
Shame
on me. Third time, fourth time, fifth time, sixth time, up to $800. At some point, it becomes your burden. He owes you $300 because that's his fine for making a turn, allegedly, without an insurance card. Judgment of $385. We're finished here. Thank you.
Court adjourned.
Thank you, Judge. I felt like I was obligated to get the truck in.
Well, I just don't believe that I should be ordered to pay something that, when it was given to me out of the gift, the kindness of your heart, from a father to son. That's just my opinion.
And as far as the tollway, it was him running up and down the freeway at the toll rate, okay? And I don't use toll roads.
It all blew out of proportion, if you will. And here we.
But I hate that. All I have in this world is my son and my daughter. No immediate family, and I hate it.
If I did this for my daughters, I wouldn't expect them to piss.
And I hope the sooner he realizes that, that life's full of bumps and bruises, then the sooner he'll get over his dilemma and he'll get on in life.
And keep going as a family. If we can, it is what it is, but hopefully we can.
I can let it all go because it's just money. But it's all about principle.
Money's not everything.
So the question really is, you always keep your fingers crossed with kids, and a child is always your child, even when you're 32. But there comes a point, every parent, where they have to acknowledge that a child is not being responsible. So here's my question. How many chances do you think that your parents had those circumstances?
I think the lack of responsibility is a big one, because I don't think my parents would continue to give me more responsibilities, like payments, after I've been clearly challenged in the responsibility department. So not as many times as that plaintiff gave his
latitude. You're a little younger than that man who has a grown child and clearly was irresponsible. But I think a parent has to be, aside from a loving parent, they have to come to terms with the fact that they have an irresponsible child. And if you keep feeding, is going to continue to be irresponsible. I think that's the takeaway.
Yeah, parents.
Ramsey for wrongful eviction, a security deposit, and moving costs.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 1135, Ramsey.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kevin,
Yes.
What is the name of this witness?
Eva Trigger.
Would you put her out? The next case, if anything, she's maybe called as a witness in this case, but she has nothing to do with this case.
Please follow me.
The bare facts of this case are relatively simple. Ms. Reed, you were a tenant of the defendants from 2017 until...
Yes.
And you were renting a rather large piece of property from him. How many acres, sir?
40 acres, Your Honor.
You had animals?
No, I had no animals.
You had
pets, cats and dogs.
How many dogs?
One dog.
How many cats?
There were several cats that were outside cats that I fed, but I had 2 indoor cats.
How many cats?
I'd say there was 3 mother cats, and I don't know how many baby cats.
About 17 or 18 cats, Your Honor.
Okay. And one dog?
One dog.
You rented that property, you were on the property.
Correct.
And the rent, according to what I read, was about $950 a month.
Yes, at first.
And you started your tenancy in what month, 2017?
February 2017.
Did you have a written lease?
No, oral.
Fine. This is what the case is about. Mr. Ramsey, at some point, you no longer as a tenant, and he retained a lawyer.
Yes, Your Honor.
In order to evict you.
Correct.
And I see that Mr. Ramsey had one of him.
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Well, why would that be, Mr. Ramsey?
Because Miss Reed moved out 3 months ago. I thought it was all over with.
Just a second.
Okay.
I'm not going to be happy with your answer. I'm going to let you know right now, I'm not going to be happy with your answer unless Miss Reed has the paperwork to show me, and she might. Now, had paid her rent regularly during her tenancy, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you wanted her out in what month and year?
February.
Of this year?
Yes.
And California?
Yes.
And Miss Reed is suing you for fraudulently evicting her in 2021. And she's suing you for $5,000, which is what she can sue you for fraudulently evicting her from her premises. Your response is that you hired an attorney and an eviction company. You hired professionals.
Yes.
And they did.
Yes.
And therefore, it was a perfectly legal eviction.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, there are very limited bases on which you can enter, especially during COVID.
Okay.
In California, not even for non-payment of rent,
right.
Which you don't even allege here, for she did. In fact. So the only basis in California upon which you can rely in evicting a tenant is if you or a close relative to move back into the property, or if you intend and do in fact sell the property. I assume, sir, that you still own them. So I would like you to tell me, and then, of course, Ms. Reed is going to have to show me the affidavit, because you clearly, when you evict someone, you have it. That's why I'm curious why you have no paperwork. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because that's very easy. If you hired an eviction company, they have copies of it.
Right.
And the lawyer, copies of it, Mr. Ramsey.
Yes.
So that if you threw away yours, you thought it was all over, all you had to do was say, I need copies of my papers to bring to the court because she's suing. Stan?
Sure.
You want to explain to me why you didn't do that?
Well, I thought it was all over with.
Well, yeah, I know you thought it was all over with, but you're standing here now.
Yeah.
Now you're standing here. And so you're an intelligent man.
In the county, in Stanislaus County, they said you were allowed to evict even...
You can't tell me what the county said to you. The county doesn't speak.
I mean, attorney.
Just a second. You can't tell me what your attorney told you, because that's hearsay.
Okay.
What you can do is to bring me the affidavit that you had to sign in order to evict.
Your Honor, we didn't actually go to court. We settled outside of court.
Oh, just a second. So let's go back.
Okay.
Because you do understand
yes.
that you filed a document with the court on which the court relied that you intended to move back into the premises, which was the basis for your eviction. Then that was a fraudulent eviction because you're not living there now, right?
No.
Right.
But
if what you're saying to me is that you settled the plaintiff, that I'm going to hear in a minute. So let me see, Miss Reed, the eviction notice that you received to get David as to why you were being evicted.
This is the notice, and I have court documentation showing...
Let me see what it says. Oh, very easy. I'd like you to Mr. Ramsey, because... Clearly, Mr. Ramsey falsely signed a document that he intended to break. Now,
thank you.
That's the document that you signed.
Sure.
One of the documents. I'll take it back now, Kevin. That document that you filed was, in fact, fraudulent because you were not moving into the property and you don't live on the property now.
I was going to move into the property.
I don't care. I'm not moving into your mind.
No, I mean, the house was so wrecked, I couldn't move into it.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Ramsey.
Yes, ma'am.
Slick people will say, well, if you had to, you say to the court, it was my intention to move into the property, but because blah, 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 I couldn't move into the property, but it was in fact my intention. This face doesn't buy it. Do you understand? However, Miss Reed, you could have fought this eviction, but Mr. Ramsey says that you're with him. Miss Reed.
Yes.
Did you go to housing court?
I don't believe it was housing court. I went to court.
You went?
I fought the eviction through.
May I see her papers? And you had a lawyer.
I did not. Well, I was
Yes, you did.
I was represented by California Rural Legal Assistance.
Fine, but you were represented.
Yes.
That's a yes. When you went to court, was there a trial?
I believe there was not a trial. I think it was a stipulation before trial.
Stipulation before trial, that means that either you're still there or you agreed to move and he paid you some money.
Okay.
I've been doing this business for 50 years, so let us not...
I'm trying to tell you, I went to trial, but I did not have representation, and I did move. I did move.
I asked you a simple question. A settlement where Mr. Ramsey paid you money.
He paid me no money.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, go ahead.
She had it months after the court. I let her stay because she didn't have any place to go and this and that.
So is what you're saying to me that the stipulation finally went to court in what month?
June.
June of this year?
Yes.
Is that correct, Ms. Reed?
The paper was filed June. We went to court in August.
August of 20. Was there a stipulation filed that you, in settlement of this case, that you were going to be able to reside for another on the property?
3 weeks is what the stipulation showed me.
Oh, I'd like to see it.
This is the stipulation.
May I see it, please? Okay, Mr. Ramsey, this is your problem, sir. This is July 21st. And it says, because of what you swore to, that you were moving into the premises. That's the reason that based on this, the rental agreement is canceled. A writ of possession will issue immediately. That means you're entitled to possession because of this fraud. And she has until August 9th, which is a couple of weeks away, not 3 months.
Your Honor, I let her stay longer. Okay.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Sure.
And judgment will be entered now. And that was by the judicial officer, Jared. Jared knew that what your attorney filed was a fraudulent document. And it was based upon that fraudulent document that this entered. The judicial officer would be furious, sir.
Could I speak, Your Honor?
Absolutely.
Okay. When I initially rented the property, son, she had 6 more people move in trailers and motorhomes outside the property in trucks. I told her she couldn't do that. My insurance wouldn't cover it.
Hold on.
And she would never do anything about it.
Just a second. So is what you're telling me, sir...
No, that's not why I evicted her, though.
Okay. Tell me why you evicted her.
Well, at that time I evicted her, I have no place to live. I had to move into the house. I lost my wife, COVID, and I just had no place to live.
Where are you living, sir?
Jose.
What kind of premises?
I have a room with a friend.
Mr. Ramsey.
Yes, Your Honor.
We're not on the same page, sir. Where did you live with...
Home in San Jose.
What's the address of your home in San Jose?
1374 San Jose.
Is that an owned property or a rental property?
It's an
owned.
Yes, but I don't own it anymore.
Just a second. Who is the current owner of the property?
I own it half with my ex-wife there.
Mr. Ramsey.
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't know how to say this to you, sir, but you may be able to get over with some people with that baloney. You are not getting over with me. You would not get over with me. I would have sympathy with you.
I'm not trying to get over.
Just a second. I don't know where I was living. I was living with friends. I lost my house, but I still own my house there.
Yeah.
Mr. Ramsey.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ramsey.
Sure.
I don't know whether you think because I'm a woman judge, I'm stupid, or because I'm old.
No.
I don't know what you think. It's very easy, sir. If you came and said to me, she had tons of people living there, she brought in people in RVs, that's not why I had her evicted, because we're going to go back to this fraudulent document.
No, I needed the house to live in.
You're not living there now.
No, of course not. It's not.
Okay, wait until we get to the next case. Sir, you've had 8 months to restructure the house, to do whatever you want to with the house.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, you live in San Jose.
It's 100 miles away.
Listen to me, sir. Sure. If I looked at the documents that you filed when you brought your case to me, that reached out to you, it would be at the home that you co-own in San Jose. Mr. Ramsey.
Yeah, I know.
Mr. Ramsey.
Okay.
You're done.
No, Your Honor.
Done.
I don't
Hard
I
boiled.
don't live at the house in San Jose.
Just a second. That's where it would say you live.
Your Honor,
Tell me.
I do not live at the house in San Jose. I don't live there.
Tell me your address, sir.
1374 San Jose. I live there.
Tell me where you live. That was my question. Did I ask him that? Tell me where you live.
160 San Jose.
And who lives there?
Brother and his son.
Is your name on the mailbox?
Ramsey. Ramsey, yes.
Ah!
No, it's because it's my brother's
Judgment
house.
for the plaintiff, $1,000 as requested, which is the maximum. You committed fraud on the court, Mr. Ramsey. I'm not happy about that. Sit down while we call the next case, because you're also the defendant. Perfect.
Eva Traeger is suing her former landlord, Al Ramsey, for remodeling his property.
Stand up, Mr. Ramsey. Leave that there. Here. First, let's call the case. Traeger versus Ramsey. He's been sworn. Just swear her.
Swear to tell the truth in these matters today?
Yes.
Thank you.
So this is your case against...
Yes, Your Honor.
You knew Mr. Ramsey?
Yes.
How did you know him?
I rented from him 8 years ago.
All 40 acres?
Yes.
For how long years ago?
9 months.
How many horses do you have?
Today, 6.
What other animals do you have?
Dogs.
How many?
6.
There came a time Reed moved out of the house sometime in August. And somehow you got in touch with, or he got in touch with you. How did that happen?
We talked at the
beginning of
this year.
January, February, when?
It was around April.
Okay. You talked in April. On the phone or in person? Well, tell me about the conversation.
He said that he had a tenant moving out, that it was going through eviction and it was taking longer. It was supposed to be sooner than it out to be, so we just kept in contact with text message and by cell phone calls.
He said it took longer than he expected it.
He just said that she's not to evict her, gave her a notice, and they had to go back to court.
And what was the arrangement that you had with him?
At that time, down to the property, spoke with him. We, just kicked around some ideas, and I came up with a number because we talked about rent. I said, well, what's she paying? He told me $1,100. And I said, okay, well, the house is probably going to need work. And so we came up with the idea that I would give him $12,000 for that, would help him with the remodel of the house or whatever needed done. I would add my 2 cents to help get it done. And I said,
so is what you're saying that you came up where you would give him $12,000 up front or $12,000?
Yes, for the year.
That you would give him $12,000 in advance?
Well, actually, I already made it firm that I wouldn't move there whenever she was living there because he wanted me to come and stay in my trailer, and I didn't want to do that.
Okay, so make a formal lease.
Yeah.
When did you move into the property?
I moved my horses the night of...
So when she left?
She was still there, actually.
That was her last day. She had to be out by court order.
By court order, yes.
So when you had the discussion was that you were going to give him $12,000 for rent.
Yes.
And move your horses in.
Yes.
And you would do whatever work in the house that had him. With him.
Yes.
Okay. So it was your intention in his statement that he was going to lease this house to you for a year.
Yes.
For $12,000. Once the house got all readied up, he was going to help you get it readied up. You were going to get it readied up. And you moved the horses in the same night so that the horses... And your lawsuit is not for illegally evicting you because you were never his tenant. No. Because you never paid him any money.
Correct.
Your lawsuit against the... Interesting. You say that you did contracting work on the house, and then he told you to leave.
Yes.
So you want to be paid for the work you did on the house. Now, the horses moved in on August 9th. When did you move in? On the property. I don't care if it was in an RV or a tent or anything else. When did you?
August 10th, I moved my stuff. My trailers, trucks. I couldn't unpack them because we didn't have a house to put them into. So it was
So you moved to the property?
Yes.
Well, then you're there. August 10th, the day after you moved horses on the property. And on what date did you leave?
September
Okay. And between August 10th and September 22nd, your horses were there.
Yes.
How many horses?
11.
Were they all yours or were you boarding them? What work do you do?
Pony parties.
Were you working between August and September?
No. Actually, I had 2 pony parties between that.
Well, then don't say no. You say party. I had 2. So you continue to run your business.
Yes.
Did you pay the defendant any rent for the horses?
No.
So you continued to paid him no rent. Did you, in fact, live on his premises?
Yes.
Did you, in fact, pay him any rent on his premises?
No.
So for that month and a half, you had your horses and free place to live for yourself. That'd be fair?
Yes.
Now, this is what your lawsuit is about, and I do not have, I don't think, a counterclaim. Now, tell me, Ms. Traeger, what you think he owes you money for?
The work I did on his house, the remodeling and the demolition of the house, and I money, the $12,000 up front, and he wouldn't accept it.
I don't care what you offered. You're suing him for work you did in the house.
Yes.
Now, I'd like you spent on materials for the work that you did on the house that you have receipts for.
$1,609.
He give you the money for that?
No.
On Venmo, on my phone, did I give her the money for that?
Just a second. I'd like to see that. And I'd like to see his account.
One of them. That's the other.
Sarah, add these numbers up for me, would you please?
Sure. I have a calculator, Your Honor.
Slide it. That's one of them.
So you gave her $300.
I don't know what the amount was, Your Honor.
He's going to show you.
Yes.
Okay. I see the things from Home Depot. Ms. Traeger, what did you buy at Habitat for Humanity?
Flooring, paint.
Who's we?
Al went with me.
I paid
Just
that.
a second. If he went with you, then he paid.
I paid.
Oh, it's separate. That was
If he went with you, then he
I
paid.
paid. Your Honor.
No, that was he bought flooring there one time we went there, and the other times I went there, I had to get supplies. I got flooring. And
How many times did you go with her to have
Just one time, Your Honor, I bought the flooring.
How much was the flooring?
$300-400.
It's not looking good for you. You understand that?
Eva Traeger claims her former landlord, Al Ramsey, owes for remodeling services she did to his property.
It's not looking good for you.
Your Honor,
You understand that?
I also gave her workers' money, but I know that doesn't. I shouldn't have got.
No. I just want to see where she gets $5,000 from free on your property with 11 horses and doing business there.
No, I didn't do business there.
Of course you did. You had kept your horses there.
Oh.
And she ate on my alfalfa.
Just a second. May have done that too. The horses have to eat.
But it was
Mr.
my
Ramsey.
alfalfa.
Mr. Ramsey. I told her. It's not going well for her. Now you're living rent-free, you're boarding 11 horses free, you're continuing to do your business. I wasn't sure about all these little tiny receipts, but some of them, the only big one, humanity, and that one, which you gave me as something that you paid for, you didn't. He did.
No, I paid. He has his own receipt.
No.
That was mine.
Believe that.
So these all added come to $1,354.44.
Okay, thank you. And I have from Ramsey a payment to you in the amount of $300. So that leaves $1,000 that you spent in materials for compensated, right?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Ramsey,
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't care about her labor or her workers because you said you paid the workers and she has no proof to the...
He hasn't paid. I have it right here.
Hasn't paid what?
He hasn't paid the laborers.
Oh, they should sue him. Did you pay the laborers?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much?
I don't know. It was a couple different guys, and
This is
all the work
slippery,
they did, it was
Mr.
like the Little Rascals did it. I had to redo everything.
You know, you're too slick, Mr. Ramsey.
Oh, God.
You have to be orderly and honest.
I'm honest, Your Honor.
Yeah. Well,
Honest. I'm honest.
that's what?
If I could really tell you, I mean, is it legal for her to bring motorhomes on my ranch and,
No.
and have people live in them? And then I tell her to do something about it. She doesn't do anything about it.
Just a second. It's absolutely not, Mr. Ramsey.
Okay. Then what do you do?
It's absolutely not. The answer is, I don't know what you do.
Can you tell me what you would do?
Mr. Ramsey, the problem with everyone who chooses to be a landlord, especially now,
Yes.
is that they're told they can't evict anybody. And some people, well, the moratorium is over. But there was a moratorium. But during COVID, you couldn't evict her because she was a... Then,
Stanislaus County.
Well,
That's not...
then you should have alleged it in your paper, Mr. Ramsey. Your paper, try to use ears and one mouth. Listen, If you would have said, not in Stanislaus County, that you can evict her for being a nuisance, put it in here. That's the base.
At the time, I needed the house to live in.
No, that's baloney.
No, it's not baloney.
That's,
no, it's not. And I opened the door and I couldn't believe my scene.
Yeah, that's such baloney.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't believe you. So far, you have $1,000 worth of material that you're entitled to, madam. Period. You lived there for 6 weeks with your 11 horses and paid nothing. $1,000 a gift. Do you understand?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000.
Court is adjourned.
It was pretty bad.
I moved in. I maintained it the whole time I lived there.
The house is full of cockroaches.
The roaches you can't get rid of. They come from up underneath the house because we live next to a...
I couldn't even go in there. I didn't want anything to do with the house.
The mice, there's something you have to live with on a farm. But the house was beautiful when I left it. I have photo clean. You could have moved into it.
It's still vacant, just being worked on.
He lies about everything he says. He said that he was going to move into the house. He had her move in. He was already moved before she even left again.
Oh, gosh. No. They never even looked at why I wanted the house back.
He just continues with lies down the road, all the way.
I redid his whole house for nothing.
No, I didn't like the work. I had to redo everything.
Because I was supposed to live in the house, and he wasn't good.
Just said it's not going to work out. And she just left.
And I was living nowhere.
Don't do it.
You know, I see cases about balance. And the law has displayed a sympathy for those people who, by virtue of COVID, couldn't work. And despite still not paying rent, because they needed money for other things. I have a great deal of sympathy for landlords, because that's their business. It's like bringing somebody in, Sarah. You're going to be the law clerk, but we're not going to pay you because it's COVID. Your reaction to that would be?
It's a tough spot to put both sides with both sides. I just think that COVID had an impact on every business, you know, on rent, on custody, on evictions, everything. So I think that but you still have to act accordingly, and you can't lie to the court. You can't submit fraudulent papers just because you're in a tough spot along with everybody else. Doesn't then do the wrong thing.
Perpetrate a fraud on the court. That was his problem. Isn't it interesting that a whole industry, there were eviction practitioners, and it's so interesting that these eviction practitioners, who actually have to be scrutinized, will say to somebody like this man, who says she's a nuisance, other people onto the property, and which I probably believe is true. Because it's 40 acres, and she'll say to a friend, you know, you could move in your RV there and stay there. But he couldn't evict her.
For that reason.
For that reason. At all. So resorted to the least difficult allegation to prove, and the full proof.
And a loophole.
And a loophole. Yeah, and a loophole. So for that, you can't reward him. So he got punished. But this sort of free place to live for a month and a half, along with her 11 horses and 6 dogs. So her material, she was entitled.
Tiaga Evans is suing former roommates Tamara McClinton and Tyote Taylor Jr. for an unpaid loan.
Come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Case Marciaga Evans versus McClinton Taylor Jr.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Evans.
Yes.
These used to be your roommates.
Yes.
You had a boyfriend. That's you?
Yeah, that's him.
And he was friendly with you.
That's me.
So the 4 of you decided to rent an apartment together. On what date?
7th.
2020.
Yes.
And at the time, according to your complaint, the defendants didn't have their half of the move-in money.
Correct.
Which was how much?
$1,245.
And they were supposed to give it back to you. You put in the full amount of money. Is not an answer. Yes is an
Yes,
answer.
correct. Sorry.
A response to that, because I'm going to take this case in pieces, because that's part of what you're suing for.
Correct.
The $1,245. Now, who wants to tell me you wouldn't have the money to put down when you came in?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And you acknowledge that you told her that you would give her some point.
Yes.
Did you give her the money?
Not yet, Your Honor.
So that you still owe the money?
Partial.
What part?
Well, we had groceries and everything and cooking for them. It was pretty much like having 2 extra kids. And so out of that money, she said that that can be deducted from the money that...
Oh, just a second.
Sorry.
Well, if, you know, forget about cooking for them or cleaning up after them. That wasn't an arrangement. And that's not even what you say in your answer, but what you wrote in your answer?
Yes.
Okay. It had nothing to do with cooking and taking care of them like children. Did you keep receipts from all the food?
No, Your Honor.
And how are you supposed to know how much you owe them?
She said that she was keeping track of it.
How could she keep track if you were going shopping?
Because I was going with her. She was every time we went grocery shopping. So she.
Well, if you went grocery shopping and you were paying, you got the receipt.
I didn't find the need to keep it.
Well,
she was.
Then that the arrangement you made with her that they would
No,
go
Your
both?
Honor.
No, of course not. All right. So then you owe $1,245. That's for starters. And then you want damages for an assault and harassment. I don't know about the harassment. Who assaulted you and when?
She did. She came to my door one day telling me
What door?
My room door, my bedroom door.
Okay. On what date did you move out?
July 1st.
July 1.
2021.
And on what date did this incident happen where she came to your door?
June 6th.
I'm listening.
She told me she wanted to talk to me. I said, okay. We went out to the living room. We ended up talking.
Slowly.
Sorry. We went to the living room. She was telling me her husband felt uncomfortable in the kitchen. He felt that we were watching him through our door and we weren't doing that. So I had to tell her we weren't related. She ended up getting upset, and that's when she attacked me, and I had to defend myself.
Well, how did she attack you?
She went for my hair, and she started pulling my hair.
She went to pull your hair and back and forth,
Yes.
and what did you do?
I tried to defend myself by
How did you do that?
fighting back.
Well, tell me what you did.
Off of me and tried to get her hair to
So you were each pulling each other's hair?
Yes.
Okay. Did either one of you go to a hospital?
No.
Doctor?
No.
Did you stay in the apartment on June 7th?
It was June 6th, but no, I had left right after the fight.
So you never moved?
No, I did, but I had left that day.
So were you there on June 7th
Yes,
is my
I was.
question.
Correct.
And you were there on June 8th, 9th, 10th, 12th,
Yes.
13th, all the way up to July.
Correct.
Okay. So far they owe you $1,245. So we finished with your...
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Now I have a counterclaim. Counterclaim is about lost wages and something about COVID and restraining order. Let's go.
We had contacted COVID through Elizabeth on, I believe it was between January 1st of 2020 and January 6th, 2021.
A lot of people contracted COVID from each other.
Yes, Your Honor, but she failed to let us know that smell a few days after noticing, after we had all played Monopoly and a drinking game all together, drinking off of the same bottles. During that time, she smelled, but she failed to let us know.
Yeah.
Was she tested?
She did get tested.
According to what you know, did she test positive and then fail to tell you?
Yes. She told us a few days after her results.
That's incorrect. I had let them know the day I lost. I said I didn't know if I had COVID or not, so I'm going to get tested as soon as possible. I have my test results. I got tested literally a few days later on the 6th, and I let them know that I wasn't able to taste or smell, though. I didn't know if I had COVID or not for sure, though, but I told them, I'm sick. Just want to let you guys know I can't taste or smell COVID or not. And before I had, I got sick, she was already sick with the cough before that, too, and she was working. I have right here her telling me that I was sick because she felt sick and that she was getting the chills and that at her job there was all kinds of COVID cases. So
can I see that,
yes.
please?
Year-old Elizabeth Berziane's former roommates Tamara McClinton and Tyote Taylor Jr. owe for an unpaid loan and an assault. Tamara and Tyote are counting wages and filing a false restraining order.
Okay. Well, this is written in December.
Yes.
Who is the green?
That's me.
So you're probably not up, but do you all feel sick? Not from the food. What does this mean? I am
laughing my off.
Oh, thank you. Like a cold sick. And then you say...
I'll laugh out loud.
Laugh out loud. I have a little cough that comes and goes. Our job has new cases.
Yes, Your Honor.
Our job has new cases of COVID, so you must have felt as if you had a cold.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Every week this lady says, working with her, I said, I'm going to get tested. That's you. I'm not going to say anything to the job yet because I don't be like, oh my God, come back after you get the results. So you said, am I reading this right? You said to her, I'm going to get tested anything to anybody at my job because I don't want them to tell me to come back after I get the results. So let me understand. What is your last name?
McClinton.
Miss McClinton, your countersuit against her is that she had lost her taste and smell right away, right?
Correct.
And as a result of that, you got COVID. Just a second. As a result of that, you got COVID. And 2.5 weeks before is that you were feeling sick at work, but you weren't going to tell anybody. You were going to get a test because you're there to say goodbye, come back after you get the results if you're not feeling well. Am I reading this right?
Yes, you are.
You count judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,245. Thank you very much. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
I did not have a cold that I received from my daughter.
I feel like she had it and she didn't know.
We had a disagreement on how she let us know that her boyfriend had put his hands on her.
And where they got that from at all. I was like, as you can see, we're happy together.
If anything, she was going to file anything. She waited until like weeks later, months later. You should have just filed it right.
With roommates again.
That was really funny that the entire counterclaim was all for something that the plaintiff proved the defendant, again, clean hands. You don't get to come here and ask for help when you yourself are committing what you're claiming.
I have a feeling we haven't seen the last of these COVID-related. I think that people did a lot of foolish things initially during COVID, didn't understand the nature and seriousness of the disease. But that's pretty serious. December, January, people knew how serious it was, and to keep that to yourself was a real problem. It was interesting.
It'll be interesting to see how the courts handle what's going to come out of this.
Right.
Case 1070, West Bolts versus Porter. All parties, please step forward.
LaShavia West is suing Video Porter for the production costs of a music video she never received.
You are Miss?
I'm LaShavia West.
You have a band?
No, I'm a musical put on events. He's a promoter, and we do a lot of events together.
Did the both of you hire the defendant to do a video?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. When?
We actually first paid March 29th.
Of this year?
Oh, I'm sorry, March 29th, 2021. Yes, ma'am.
And when was he to produce the video?
2 weeks after it was videoed, April, and I have evidence of it.
Okay. And when did he get the video to you?
I never received it to this date.
How much did you pay him?
We paid him $1,500.
You have a claim against him for $10,000.
Yes, ma'am.
How much was the total price that you were supposed to pay him?
Was $1,500 film and shoot.
But he did film and shoot?
Yes, ma'am.
Is what you're telling me that you never received a video from him?
No, ma'am.
Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Tell me when.
We sent her a rough draft.
When?
I think it was March 28th.
May.
Just
No,
don't
it was May
speak.
28th.
Don't speak.
May 28th.
May 28th. It was May draft. And I explained to her it was a rough draft and that it was more that needed to be done to it. And it's not the final copy.
Did you ever make a final copy?
Yes, I have one. And it's here.
Okay, then.
No, ma'am, because she said that she was suing me, so I said, let's take this to court then.
But you have a final one?
Yes, ma'am.
I actually have a clip of what was supposed to be the full preview that I received a month and a half later.
Listen to me. I asked you a question. I said, did you receive anything? You said...
See the video. That wasn't the video.
What
that
did you...
That was what they call the full preview, but it wasn't a full preview.
So you did, in fact, receive something from them?
Later.
I don't care whether it was a month and a half later. You have a written contract with them?
No, we have an invoice.
Do you have a signed written contract with them?
No.
Does the invoice specify anything other than the price and say video footage?
Yes.
May I see it?
We also hired him for other behind-the-scene event. Yes, ma'am.
Well, the whole price was $1,750. That includes the recap video. I don't know what that means, and I don't care.
That was other footage with other event footage that we had other events.
Okay, so the whole thing together was $1,750 or
$1,500, ma'am.
$1,500, and you
Yes,
that was just a video.
You acknowledge that. Yes. Okay, would you take a look at this and just show me where it says it has to be delivered by a certain date? Second.
Yes, ma'am.
Just show me that invoice and tell me where on that invoice it says it has to be delivered by a certain date.
Nowhere on the invoice, ma'am.
It doesn't. So, it does not. But that was the document that was created at the time.
Yes, his manager gave to me after we paid.
Doesn't matter. That's without anything else. That was the agreement. He was going to produce this video. Now, if you then say to him in a subsequent text, I need it, but he agrees to it by, if we're going to modify that agreement, which was the invoice to produce a video, which he says that he has, that you modified that agreement that he agreed to, I will look at that, and if you have it in a text message, I'll look at it. Can I see it?
Yes, ma'am. This is from his manager, Angie.
Who's Angie?
Claims videographer did not deliver the music video she paid for. Chad is countersuing for defamation of character.
Okay, so they sent you of the video, full preview, and you wrote back, I hate it. Is that right?
Yes, they sent the preview.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
In May?
Yes, ma'am.
That was in May. Yes. When did you advise them that you had the completed video?
Well, we never got to that. I sent her a rough draft, and I told her that we were going to make the final copy. And she took advantage of the one time that I went on vacation, and I made it clear when I was going on vacation, phone off and not taking my computer. And, you know, I would think that she would call Angie if an emergency happened.
Well, I don't know what you think. When did you get her? I heard that you had the final cut of the video.
I didn't, because once she told me she was going to take me to court, I stopped everything. And because she was defaming and
Okay, so she never got a final cut of the video.
No, ma'am.
All right, so she's entitled to her money back, $1,500. That's one. This case is for defamation. So that resolved your $10,000 claim. You get your money back from him. Tell me about the defamation.
Once I think it was...
Date that you're claiming she defamed you.
The date that she defamed me was June 16th. I went on vacation and made it clear that I didn't have my phone.
Don't tell me what you made clear. June 16th. I'd like you to show me what she said to defame you.
Okay, it's tons of stuff when she was defaming me, but...
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, well, it's clear that she's angry that video in time.
Excuse me.
And she didn't.
We never set an exact time?
Well, actually, somebody who works for you did. Because somebody, looks like April 29th.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, your video will be ready this week coming. You'll get a pre-days. Was that what you wrote to her?
Yes.
Yes. That's all. That's your agent. It's the same thing. So your agent suggested to her.
In the draft, though?
The draft.
Yes, she said, I'm just reading what I said here. Also, your video will be ready this week coming. Yeah. You'll get a couple of days. That's what it says. Okay. That didn't come to pass.
Okay.
Okay? And she's complaining about that. I mean, that was the end talking about June 16th. There is a certain, I would assume, time frame in which you need one of these things in order to do with it for publicity. So I don't see anything here that's purposefully defamatory. She paid you, or they paid you the money. They didn't get delivery on time. Right. It's irrelevant to me whether you go on vacation and turn your phone off and turn off your computer and turn off anything else. She didn't get what was promised to her by your company. So your countersuit is dismissed on the plaintiff's.
May I say one thing, though?
Yes, of course.
The thing is, you know, by her telling everybody that I robbed her and I stole from her and that I'm a thief, that's not true. I sent her a copy, and...
No, you didn't, Stu. You didn't. You turned off your phone, you turned off your computer, and she didn't get anything for a month. So she didn't get anything for a month. Your agent said video next week. That didn't happen. The fact that you went away on vacation is not relevant. Your counterclaim is dismissed. You own their $1,500 back. That's my judge.
Court is adjourned?
No, we're finished.
Okay.
Excuse me, Judge Judy. The damages and losses for the $10,000.
$100. That's my judgment.
I receive it.
Good.
Thank
you
you.
don't get the video, though.
I'm fine. I didn't want to use it
Good.
anymore.
This way, sir.
I love you. And
Me
you
too.
Whatever the judge says is what I deserve.
I love Judge Judy, so I'm going to rock with you on that, Judy, because I got...
We want to see her make it. She's in her 40s now, so...
I'm not the only person. He done this to other artists in Houston as well.
She's known for scamming people, and it did work this time.
I still took a major...
$1,500 For a video, that's no problem. I don't mind that. She can have that.
His work just wasn't up to quality, and it wasn't for us, and it was a very horrible.
I didn't even see the final. The final looks so much better. The final looks fire.
It was horrible. It looked like it was Snapchat.
I'm glad that she said she can't have the video. Skip.
I always have a delivery day and deliver, because he doesn't deliver, and many people know that he doesn't deliver.
I know that you and I may disagree. The invoice is not really a contract, but this invoice had exactly what they were going to shoot, when they were going to, amount of money that was paid. And in reliance on that invoice, plaintiff paid $1,500. The defendant, in reliance on the actually shot the video. The only thing that was missing in that invoice was the date of delivery. And if time was of the essence, that had to be in the contract.
Always smart, especially if you're going to rely on a certain date. I think that's where we might have some disagreement, is I think that the plaintiffs detrimentally rely invoice. She booked event space for a listening party or viewing party that was never able to take place due to not receiving the video. So had a couple claims for getting paid back if she had already paid venues.
You mean damages other than the amount of money that she said? And I would agree with you. Mm-hmm. If the delivery.
I think people far too often think that an invoice is a contract. When you come to a legal forum, that's not the case. And I think that, and to especially have dates on it, if that's important to you, and time is of the essence, I think that.
Lakeisha Thomas is suing her former client, Kalisha Fry, for 1 month of daycare service and breach of contract.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 1116, Thomas versus Fryer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Thomas, how long have you had a daycare center?
Since 2006. I am licensed right from the start.
In what state?
Georgia.
How many children are you allowed to have in your daycare facility?
I'm allowed to have 6 in the daytime.
Give me the hours that you watch children during the day.
From 5:30 to...
In the morning?
5:30 a.m. to 5:30 p. 12 hours there. But it's 9 hours per child.
What does that mean?
And I can care for children for 9 hours, up to 9 hours in home daycare.
How many children can you have full-time as children in the home at one time?
At one time, 6 children. Yes, ma'am.
And when you say 6 at night, does that mean overnight, that they stay overnight, or part of the night?
That means...
You don't know?
3 p.m.
Do you usually have children who stay the night?
No, ma'am.
So it's just really during the day that you take care of on a day?
Yes, ma'am. My night hours are 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. or 4 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Okay, I'll leave for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you usually have 6 children in your program?
Yes, ma'am.
Since 2006, would you estimate that most of the time, maximum capacity children?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Fryer, the first time that you went to the plaintiff's home to look for a place for your 2 children, day?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many children were there?
I'll say 4 or 5.
Okay. This is about money that you claim owed to you for taking care of the defendant's children.
Correct.
And falsely disputing the charge. So I'm going to start with Ms. Fryer. How old are your children?
Now, 1 and 5.
Now, you are originally from Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
You were moving to Georgia?
Yes, ma'am.
Month, day, and year?
Month. I moved in September. September. I really don't know the date. It was like September 20. I contacted her a month before. 2 months, almost 3 months. June 2020.
To tell her that you were moving and that you were interested in her daycare?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to see it before you enrolled your children?
Yes, ma'am. I actually went to see her, and I told her that I got to...
In what month? Was that in September?
When I went to go... it was September. Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember what date in September?
I'll say like the...
Do you know when in September?
I do. Around the 10th through the 12th.
When did your children start in her daycare?
I'll say it was after the 14th.
Yeah, the last week of September.
I think it was the 28th.
Yep, 28th.
That's when they started?
Yes, ma'am.
Both full-time?
Yes, ma'am. It was actually past
full-time?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you agreed with her, according to what I read, about how much she would be paid every 2 weeks to take care of the children?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was she supposed to every 2 weeks to take care of the children?
$352.
Bi-weekly?
Bi-weekly.
Did you sign a contract?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a copy of the contract? Please. What is this loan and or daycare tuition repayment form?
My loan and daycare tuition form is for paying on my stated Monday tuition payday, or if a personal loan is loaned to anyone. And the daycare tuition repayment form is because Ms. Fryer couldn't make Monday payments. My tuition is due on Monday.
But she says you made $352 biweekly. Was that your agreement with her?
That was my agreement with her up until January.
Just a second.
Sorry.
Was that your agreement with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Started September 28th.
Yes.
And did you make biweekly payments through October 28th?
No, ma'am. I actually was the last time she seen my children because my.
Just a second. You were actually there for 4 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah, 4 weeks.
Your
children were there for 4 weeks.
Not too long.
Mm-hmm. Just a second. We were actually physically in the location for 4 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you were 4 weeks, you should have paid her $704. Did you pay her the $704?
Yes, ma'am. I paid her that amount. I paid by.
No, did you pay her $704?
Yes, ma'am.
And those payments you did not have reversed to the bank or anything else?
No, ma'am.
You actually paid her.
Yeah, we did it through Cash App.
How much did you receive from the defendant between September 28th and October 23rd? It's a question.
Daycare owner Lakeisha Thomas claims her former client, Kalisha, responsible for 1 month of daycare services after Kalisha disputed the charges.
Look at your papers, and I want to know how much for those 4 weeks. It should have been $704.
The registration fee is $65
Just a
per
second.
child.
No, Joe.
Yes, ma'am.
Understand something. I said, how much were you paid by her between 9/28 and 10/23? The biweekly should have been $704. How much did you receive from her in total?
$704 plus $130.
Okay, so you received what you started to say was a registration fee plus $4. Were any of those charges reversed by a bank?
Those charges were 2 weeks.
That's either yes or
no. Yes, ma'am.
Which 2 weeks?
October 24th, that week.
You mean the
2
week
weeks
that
prior
was,
to that?
So she reversed one payment of $352. Is that what you're?
She reversed 2 payments. Ms. Fryer stated her children were.
Daycare owner Lakeisha Thomas claims her former client, Kalisha, responsible for 1 month of daycare services after Kalisha disputed the charges.
Look at your papers, and I want to know how much for those 4 weeks. It should have been $704.
The registration fee is $65
Just a
per
second.
child.
No, Joe.
Yes, ma'am.
Understand something. I said, how much were you paid by her between 9/28 and 10/23? The biweekly should have been $704. How much did you receive from her in total?
$704 plus $130.
Okay, so you received what you started to say was a registration fee for. Were any of those charges reversed by a bank?
Those charges were 2 weeks.
That's either yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Which 2 weeks?
Week of October 24th, that week.
You mean the
2
week
weeks
that
prior
was
to that?
So she reversed one payment of $352. Is that what?
She reversed 2 payments. Ms. Fryer stated her children were with me until October 23rd. That's not true. They came another week in October, 3 weeks in November. So I don't know where
they were there, actually physically there.
In my presence, yes, ma'am.
Really? May I see your record?
Sure. Here's November, here's October. I have video footage of the children with me, and I have pictures of the children with me.
A second, I would love to see it.
Absolutely.
Now, before I look at that, and it's not that I wouldn't like to look at it, which I probably will, do you want to rethink of when there? They weren't there.
October 23rd of 2020.
Oh, my God. Okay. I text me.
She says that they were there. Keyshawn?
The name is Arthur and Cashton.
Arthur and Cashton. Okay. Well, I only have October through October 30th, the 26th through the 30th. That's 1 week. Oh, there's November. I have you have through November 19th. So you have video there after October 23rd.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, ma'am. It's labeled Judy Justice. If she can see the timestamp. Yes, sir.
This one right here, Judge. The one top right.
Well, I have one photo here on October 29th.
I mean, she could have got the photo anywhere.
And no, it says October 29th, 10:25 a.m.
Okay, she could have.
Are these your children?
I can't see. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
That's a video, Your Honor.
What?
That if you go back.
Yeah.
This is a video. It's a.
Would you do me a favor? See if you can negotiate that for me.
Okay. You can see here it says home November 10th, 9:50. Just that's.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's
She
no-
screen recorded a security footage or something.
You
But
mean
it's timestamped.
security
It's-
house?
Yeah, it's timestamped at November 10th, 2020 at 9:58 a.m.
Got it. Do you want to see the video?
I mean, screen recorded it. I could easily screen record this right now.
So I want you to prove to me that you were not in Georgia after September.
Do you want me to go through my phone?
I don't care how you prove it to me. I want you to look in your phone and show me that you were not in Georgia after
October.
Can I show you text messages from our last conversation, please?
It's October 23rd.
October 23rd.
Oh, this is a different phone. This is a different phone. I got a whole nother phone.
Everybody
I'm
who
ready.
can't find something finds a whole other phone.
See if
Something
I-
happens
if
to
I
their
got
phone.
that from someone.
Who's that?
My husband.
Stand up.
How you doing, Judy?
Stand up. Did you move with your wife from Texas to Georgia?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Where were you?
In Texas,
What were you doing there?
working.
And why did your wife?
She wasn't my wife at the time. I met her during this process.
What date did you meet her?
I would probably say September 10th or so.
Where did you meet her?
How did I meet her? On a website.
But she was in Georgia at that time.
No, ma'am, I was not in Georgia.
Georgia.
Yes, ma'am.
She was in Georgia when you met her on a website.
Yes.
Don't touch him. So you met her on a website.
Yes.
When did you meet?
We're in that process at this time now. Getting
So you're not married.
right, but I mean.
Is that so?
I'm
The
saying
answer is
we're-
you're not married.
we're-
You're married or you're not married. People know when they're married or when.
And like I'm saying, we're in that process right now as far as we are going to court for that, because I have to get some things off of my in order to
Sir,
get married.
either you're married, you are currently not married.
Currently, right, which I answered.
Either you're
Question.
married or you're not married.
I mean, you asked me the question. I gave you the answer to begin with.
Then just answer the question.
I-
She's husband.
Right.
It is.
No, it's not your husband.
I mean, but common law marriage.
No, there's
common
no
law marriage
no,
would make
doesn't
it
exist.
Make sense.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Oh well, look, staff of police in Texas, it does exist in Texas.
Okay. The only time common law may exist in some jurisdictions, because it's outlawed in most, is when you live notoriously with someone for a period of either
Right.
10 or 20 years or more.
Oh.
Then you can be considered in some jurisdictions, maybe in state, but most states have outlawed common law marriage.
Oh well, I'm just
Okay.
giving you the information that was given to us.
Just give me information. So you're not married. You met in September of. She was in Georgia. You were in Texas.
Yes, I was.
Okay. Were you working in Texas?
Yes, I work in Texas.
Okay. What were you doing? What kind of work?
I do in the music business.
Had you known her before?
No, ma'am, I did not.
So you met her online?
That's what I give you the information of earlier.
Okay. When was the first time you met her in person?
Probably February.
So you met her in September, October, November, December. You didn't see her Christmas time?
No.
What about Thanksgiving? Did you
celebrate holidays now?
When you were communicating with her, was she in Georgia?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know where she was living in Georgia?
No, ma'am. I did not know existing.
Did you know if she was working?
Yes, she was working at that time.
During Thanksgiving or Christmas, did she ever tell you that she stopped working?
Yes.
When did she tell you she stopped?
October somewhere. Whenever the kids that had symptoms of COVID, they had to be released from go through the 14 days, and she had to do an extra 14 days. So that made 4 weeks that she had to sit for COVID, and she eventually lost her job.
Do you remember what?
Around October 23rd, around that, or 25th, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Daycare owner Lakeith has accused her former client, Kalisha Fryer, of owing for 1 month of daycare services. Kalisha disputed the charges with her. Her boys did not attend the daycare that month.
Can you show the witness, please, the video of the children from 10th? Was there ever a time that the defendant's children were out sick? Did she ever tell you that they were out sick?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I assume that if your children were sick and you were out with them for a month, that you took them to see some sort of urgent care.
Daycare owner Lakeisha Thomas has accused her former client, Kalisha Fryer, of owing for 1 month. Kalisha disputed the charges with her bank, claiming her boys did not attend the daycare that month.
Can you show the video of the children from November 10th? Was there ever a time that the defendant's children were out sick?
No.
Did she ever tell you that they were out sick?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I assume that if your children with them for a month, that you took them to see some sort of pediatrician or urgent care. Can I see proof of that?
Actually, I went to a hospital, and we did nothing like that.
Well, they would give you a...
No, they just gave us a not... They didn't have COVID.
What's the name of the emergency room that you went to?
Don't know, Anna. I just barely moved to Georgia. It's like South Georgia Hospital.
Tell me on what date you reversed the charges on check.
I reversed the charges?
Yeah, did you ever reverse charges?
I actually talked to Keisha and let her know that what was going on, and she was cool. She was like, all right, you're a cool person, la, 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 and there's no...
I just asked you a simple question. Time when you reversed charges on a bank for money that you had paid her.
I contacted my bank.
That's what I'm asking you.
Oh.
On what date did you contact your bank to tell them to reverse the charges on a check?
January 2021.
January what?
7th. No, 7th.
Well, if according to you the last time that your children were there was on October 23rd, why reversing charges in January?
Because she was still getting my money from me. My kids wasn't there the 4 weeks, so why should I pay it?
What I'm asking you is, you had to have paid her automatic payment?
Yeah.
So what you did was you told the bank to stop making automatic payments. But you didn't stop in November, the end of January. You didn't stop in November. According to you, you stopped in January.
Because she said she was going to stop them.
Okay, now email.
Text message. Gotcha. There we go.
On November 11th at 5 morning, hey, we're going to be there around 9. GM, okay, we'll be here. At 5:35 a.m., you respond, no worries, we'll be here. I don't know where Cash Cup is, and she didn't either. If you find it, let me know. And then on 5th, they're not coming.
I don't recall none of these messages.
You don't?
No.
You have a bad memory.
Yeah.
And nasty. Bad and nasty.
November 20th.
Bad and
bills and emotional distress.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated.
Judge. Case number 1168, Ordonez versus Curry Clausen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ordonez.
Yes.
You bought one dog, gentleman, in 2019.
Yes.
From which gentleman?
I had actually bought it from both gentlemen. Their business, BH, presented it to me as an entity, so I paid Ethan and
Just a second.
Cooper.
Your complaint says that in September 2019, I bought from Ethan.
Yes.
So can we keep it simple and consistent with what you wrote here?
It should have been BHB.
Well, it's not BHB. BHBs are not appear in court without a lawyer.
When they had sold me the dog, they had presented it as a real company. So I had...
Can I...
Yes. So when I received...
Don't say anything. Just give me the paperwork. Do you have her copy of her contract?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
They had orders, so I wasn't able to see anything.
Was Michelle Montfort?
It was my married name. I put O on top. But when I paid her off, I should have been given the UKC papers, which I wasn't.
Don't tell me shoulda, woulda, coulda. I don't care shoulda, woulda, coulda. This says that you paid for the dog.
Yes.
And 50%
breeding rights.
Breeding rights.
Which meant that
just not really, but it means that if you breed the dog, that I assume that whoever is Ethan,
yes,
that would be 50% breeding rights, which means that you get to breed the dog once and she does, or you get 50% of the litter. What does that mean?
I would split the stud fee with her, go half with it, and then I would get half of the litter. So let's say she had 10 puppies, I would get 5 and be able to
make that clear. That's
okay.
That's not what this means to me. With regard to Dolly, and you still have Dolly.
Yes, I do.
Rid of your counterclaim, because your counterclaim is for the return of a co-owned dog, right?
Yes.
You don't co-own this dog, co-ownership agreement, so that takes care of your counterclaim. There's nothing in this contract that suggests that you co-own the dog. Good. Now, Dolly is still alive.
Yes, gladly.
This is, your last name is?
Curry.
Curry. And are you partners?
Yes.
You also sold second dog.
Yes.
That wasn't in 2019, that was in 2021.
Yes.
And you two became friends.
We've been friends for a long time. I want to say since I got Dolly, maybe a couple months before that.
2019.
Yes.
That's a year and a half.
By the defendant to buy a dog as a friend.
You bought another dog.
Yes.
From him. Same breed.
Same breed.
And they're?
From the same kennel. It's actually a long
Now, just tell me, what kind of dog is it?
Oh, it's an XL bully, American bully.
Is that a pit bull breed?
It's a pit bull mixed with a Stafford. So they're probably about this tall. And they get up to about 160, males probably like 170.
Okay. You have two. You have one that's 2 years old, and you have a new puppy.
Yes.
You also...
Well, the puppy is deceased.
Yeah, I know that the puppy is deceased. Well, that's what your case is about.
Yes.
You became friendly with Mr. Curry.
Both of them, actually.
Just interrupt me again.
Sorry.
And you were moving. You were moving with whom?
With my children and my husband at the time.
How many children do you...
Sons.
And you had a husband?
Yes.
And so you were moving from where to where?
So we were moving actually into an apartment because...
Don't tell me because you were moving from where to where?
From my home to an apartment.
Were you renting the home?
At the time, yes, I was.
What were you moving?
I moved in the beginning of August, the end of July.
What date were you planning on moving?
I was trying to of August, but it so happened that I moved a little bit earlier.
Was Mr. Curry supposed to move into your house?
Yes.
Is that the arrangement that you would?
Yes.
And was he going to pay you rent?
He was going to be paying partial rent, yes.
How much rent?
At the time, I think I told him $600.
She told me $1,800. I gave $900 upon my deposit, and the next.
When did you give her the $900 deposit?
About a week or two prior to.
There is no contract.
On what date?
There is no contract. It was.
I didn't say contract. I never used the word contract.
Okay.
You said deposit. On what date were you supposed to be moving in?
I believe it was around the.
Don't say I want believe.
26th of July was around approximately. She was still there and her kids.
Now you also have one of these dogs.
I have 3.
All the same breed.
Yes, ma'am.
All American bullies.
Yes, ma'am.
You and all 3 dogs?
2 live with my mom and 1 live with me.
So you had 1
at the time
that you were moving into the house with.
At the time, yes.
What do I care about the rest of your life? I don't even care about this portion of your life, but it's my job. So you were moving into this house that she was vacating. Dog.
Yes.
That's an answer.
Okay.
I don't care how many cats or dogs or canaries your mother has.
Well, I own them.
I don't care. I don't care. You had 1 dog that is relevant to this case that moved into her house.
Correct.
Sick dog.
Now, can I tell you?
Sorry.
It's getting towards the end of the day. I'm getting testy.
Ordonez, claims her friends, Cooper Curry and Ethan, for the cost of a puppy and vet bills.
Now, the dog was sick.
She had just been released from the vet, so she was no longer sick.
The dog's name is?
Carmela.
What was wrong with her?
She had parvo.
When you say she had just been released from the vet, name of the vet who cared for her?
Animal Kingdom.
Is that the regular vet?
Yes, ma'am.
How long was Carmela at the vet? When she left the vet after 3 days, she had been diagnosed with parvo. What were her symptoms?
She was just not very dog-like. I don't know how to explain it. She wasn't loving. She was just sickly.
What was she like when you took her out of the vet?
The vet called me and...
What the vet told you?
Get her.
Don't tell me what the vet told you.
The dog was in prime condition to come home.
The dog seemed fine.
Yes.
The Animal Kingdom, you have that number?
Yes, ma'am.
They would tell me that the dog was released and had been tested free from parvo.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Sarah, do this for me, please. Take that number, go in the Robin Kingdom. Tell them that you're calling from Judge Judy Scheinlin. We're calling about Cooper Curry's that was released from Animal Kingdom end of July of this year. The dog had had parvo. Would you find out whether the dog was free from parvo when the dog was released from the vet?
Sure.
Would you do that? Thank you. If you have any problem with them, let me know. Mr. Curry was supposed to move in to your home, and you were supposed to...
We were in the process of moving, yes.
Mr. Curry came to your house with his dog. Did you have a conversation with him?
He actually came unannounced and no action with him before he came.
Did he ever discuss with you that his dog had had parvo?
Look
at me.
No, he did not. No,
did you? Yes, he did. I'm going to ask you again. Did he ever discuss with you that his dog had parvo? Make sure I get...
Right. No, he did not.
Okay. So you have two of the same kind of dogs, and you wouldn't have left your dog sick.
Never.
That looked sick, correct?
Correct.
So his dog didn't look sick.
No.
Played with your dogs?
Yes. And asked him to watch the dog.
I know that. Played with your dogs? Appeared healthy.
Correct.
And that was on what day?
I want to say from the 24th through the 25th.
So you had a full day to see them interacting and to see how his dog would. And then you left. And you left him with your two dogs.
Yes.
So you left him on the 25th with your two dogs. That was by arrangement.
If I could leave
the dogs. Fair. And when did you come and get the dogs?
The next day. Within the next day, he said the dogs will not stop, excuse my language, and throwing up everywhere.
So that's the 26th?
Yes.
So you came back
Correct. And I picked up both dogs.
She didn't, Your Honor.
When did she come back?
Her baby daddy picked him up, and it was about 2 or 3 days later.
Her baby what?
My baby's father. My ex-husband.
Okay.
Because she would not answer the phone for 2 or 3 days.
So she didn't come the next day?
No.
And neither did...
I had a housekeeper come and clean the house of all their throw up and poop while they were ignoring my calls.
That's funny. I had a housekeeper.
Okay. Do you have any phone with you which would show the messages on?
I actually got a new phone.
Everybody gets a new phone when I ask them for proof. I got a new phone. My phone fell in the toilet. The dog ate the phone. My husband smashed the phone. My wife threw it out of the car. Whenever you came, the day after, did you come personally? Or did you send the father of your baby?
So he was threatening.
Just answer the question.
The dogs.
Okay. And when you went to get the dogs, did you take them immediately to the vet?
I took them the next day.
Why didn't you take?
Because I didn't know the severity of what was going on. They looked groggy, but I didn't know exactly if they were sick or not. So I had set up the appointment.
Were both dogs fully inoculated?
At first, they were just acting like themselves, and then they just started deteriorating.
Listen to my question. Both dogs fully inoculated, vaccinated? Had they received
Yes,
all of their shots?
They were.
You have
both of
proof
them.
from the vet from that?
From her vet records and her vet bill.
Okay, now I want to see the records of her inoculation, the one that died. Now, don't give me all those things for a specific piece of paper.
That's that's his vet records that I got from the vet.
No, that's not what I asked you for. I asked you for her records of vaccination.
That's the only records I had gotten.
Then you don't have records of that puppy. That was the puppy that died. How old was the puppy?
When he died, he was about 14 weeks.
Sarah?
Yeah, got a lot of information.
Okay.
So Carmela was diagnosed on 7/12/21 with not only parasites as well, and she had a hospital stay until approximately the 14th in hospital, where she was treated and picked up. And there was a revisit with a strict instruction to not be around any other dogs, as it was still a highly contagious disease. She revisited on August 23rd vaccine.
August 23rd.
Of 2021.
That's his dog?
Yes.
August 23rd.
For a revisit after the hospital stay, where she received her second, which was a combo vaccine, including for parvo, with, again, another instruction not to be around any other puppies or dogs and not to purchase any more puppies. She was revisited, but there was no negative test result when she left.
No negative?
She said there would not have been a negative test result, but she left with the second and the strict instruction to not be around other dogs.
Your Honor, I was homeless, and she was allowing me
I don't homeless, hapless, sad, snowflake. I don't care. It's irrelevant to me. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Homeless.
Maybe just a second. Hey, I'm going to throw your case out. Do you want me to do that?
Cooper Curry of bringing his sick puppy into giving her dogs a serious illness.
Now, I don't know if you have family. Your family may care about you. I, on the other hand, do not. I am an idiot who was given specific instructions not to have their dog around other dogs, and you specifically didn't listen. Homeless or not, who gives a rat's behind?
Well, I had paid rent to move into her house, and I was supposed to be moving in, and she
I don't care
there.
if you move in. You're not Carvo.
She wasn't supposed to be there.
It doesn't matter.
It does.
She was
supposed to be there.
there.
She wasn't supposed to be.
She was there.
She was.
She was there, fool.
She was not supposed
She
to
was
be
there.
there.
Listen.
No.
You don't understand.
listen to
you
me.
don't understand.
She wasn't supposed to be there.
I'm supposed to listen to you. I'm supposed to listen to Mike. He's not only homeless, maybe a little high, maybe a little stupid. I'm not exactly sure which one.
All three.
Maybe all three. Told by the vet not to have your dog around other dogs. Do you understand that? You understand that?
Yes.
And when not to have your dog around other dogs, and you're supposed to be a dog lover, then whether she's there or not there, if she's there, she's there, you're not supposed to take your dog near her dogs. That's what you were told, that it's a highly contagious disease. Don't take your dog near other dogs. That's what you were told. Can I see your vet bills, please? You have anything else to do with this case anymore? I already dismissed it down.
So this is for each treatment for.
I just want the total vet bills. How much did you pay him for that, for the dog that died?
$1,000.
Wasn't paid off either.
How much did you actually pay him of the $3,000? Show me.
We did a cash exchange. It says, I have a text message that says I paid for the dog.
I'm looking. So is what you're telling me the entire vet bill for $303?
No.
Well,
that was for each treatment for each dog.
You say for each dog. This doesn't say for each.
Call the vet.
I'm not calling the vet. Your responsibility is to bring me proof.
Right.
This isn't proof. You're suing for vet bills. So far, all I have is for $303.50. No, excuse me. It was $478.50. You paid $175.03. Did you ever pay them?
No.
No. So you actually only paid $175. Now I'd like to see that telling me that you paid him the $3,000 for the dog.
I have her papers or his.
Stop talking. I asked you for a specific thing. I said, show me the text that you refer to when you paid him the $3,000 for the dog.
It's not specific on there, but he says that the dog.
I can read. You said you had a text. I'm reading it. You paid for her as a pet and co-own, but I'm primary owners. Well, Ethan is technically, you're Ethan, right?
Yes.
So that's you who's writing this.
No, it's Cooper actually, right?
Yeah, I said.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You're Ethan, so it's Cooper writing this. So,
sorry.
Listen, try to shut up. You track laugh out loud. I've had my attorneys on this all day. Your attorneys, you're homeless and hapless. Okay. $3,000 plus $175.
I'm also demanding her papers because I had paid for her and I never received her papers.
I'm not dealing with papers. First of all, your dog if you intend to breed her.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And you don't want anything further to do with them. Right?
Never.
So I would have her neutered.
That honestly.
Very good idea. That's what you say in here. She's a pet and I want to. So that's what I would do. So you don't need papers for her. 3,175 plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
She knew my dog had parvo. She knew my dog wasn't supposed to be around dogs to the judge about that.
I would have never let him in my home if I knew he had parvo or the dog had parvo.
By letting me come into a house with a sick dog, knowing it, that's negligence on her part.
You know, I opened my doors to him and he opened his parvo disease onto my animals.
She never came. I don't know why she said 1 to 2 days because it was more like 3 to 4.
You know, justice is going to come either way. If it's not from me, it's from someone else.
Helpful on the phone. I asked her if he took the dog discharged with a negative test, and she said, well, that's not exactly how that works, and explained to me how instructions on both occasions that he brought in the dog to not have that dog be around any other dogs because it's highly contagious. And not only that, but also purchase any new dogs for him to acquire any more dogs due to the contagious nature of the disease. So, very helpful.
You know, sometimes I would have made that call myself. I have to tell you, it was delightful for you to get that information and be able to convey it to me. And very decisive. You know, one would think if you're discharged from a vet's office that you're okay, but clearly not.
Just discharged from the hospital stay.
The dog was in the hospital.
She said around 2 or 3 days, but that it was a fairly young dog, so that she recovered quite quickly. However, that did not take away from the contagious nature of the disease.
Sad. Well, one puppy died. If you can't take care of yourself, don't get 100.
For car repairs, after his sign hit Tina's vehicle.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 1145, Fellows versus Mock.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
What kind of business do you have, sir?
I do power washing and leaf blowing bag as well as snow blowing.
Do you have a regular car or a van?
I have a truck.
And you have signs on your truck?
Yes.
And on April 9th, 2021, you had signs on your truck that were magnetic?
At that time, I may have. But since then, I have went to stickers. So
okay, but you did have magnetic signs on your truck?
At some point.
And you had those signs on both sides of your truck?
Correct.
How large are they?
Say about 18 by 12 inches.
And those of your business?
Correct.
And they say the telephone number, how to contact you?
Correct.
So you're advertising?
Correct.
Do you remember the date in April happened?
According to
them.
I don't.
You don't?
No.
But do you remember at some point on or about April 9th, you checked and you were missing signs?
At some point in April, yes.
And that's because, according to Mr. and Mrs. Fellows, they're driving along, and one of those magnetic signs from your car went your car and hit the mirror of their car, damaged their mirror. They want you to pay for the mirror. That's what this whole Geschichte is about, right? And they don't look like crazy people, and you don't look like a crazy person. So at some point, what they did, according to their complaint, Mr. Mock, is they drove away, and they drove up next to your car, and they wrote down the number from the magnet that hadn't flown off. So far, correct?
Actually, we took a picture.
Took a picture. See it, please?
On the other side, too. Yes.
Yeah, great. Photograph makes it so much easier. I got it. This is your signs? Great.
And you can see him in the picture as well.
Yes. Got it.
Okay.
Okay? And so that's how they got.
Okay.
And then they called you.
Not immediately, no. But at some point, they did make contact with me.
Okay. And after you say that you were something flying off and hitting the mirror, which could have been much more dangerous, these things that clearly then dangerous. Everybody should be on alert. They can fly. Be aware. Accident looking to happen. You examined your car. And what did you find?
We found that there was a piece on the mirror that was broken as well.
I'd like to see it.
And I would like to say the reason we didn't call right away, when I have a chance, Judge.
Sure.
See the magnet that's stuck in the mirror there?
Oh, gee whiz.
Your Honor, may I see those
Absolutely.
as well?
Absolutely.
Mailed these to the defendant, Your Honor.
Did you ever see them?
And we exchanged emails as far as that goes. I actually seen the picture of me, other ones, and as I was attempting to receive counsel myself, as far as those goes, I asked them to
sign in their mirror.
And we actually have the
That's
sign.
a piece.
We have the piece of the sign as well.
Oh. Kevin,
So I asked them to send me these
just
pictures.
a second. Would you mark while you're there so you don't have to make 2 trips? Got it?
Yep.
Okay. So you see, they come prepared. Great. So these are the photographs of your sign in their window. This is clearly your sign.
It looks.
You can see the little tree
Yeah,
matched to the picture.
I see it. Of course he sees it. Okay. And how much is it going to cost to fix? Responsible for that? He knows that.
Written estimate we finally received from the dealership where I bought the car was $726.11. I have an estimate.
Yes.
And I also do have a reason that we had an initial different price, so it was kind of a long saga.
And what year car is it?
It's a 20 Crosstrek, my very first brand new car I ever bought.
Right, out mirror assembly, glass, and trim.
Which it has the blind spot sensor in the mirror.
Yeah.
That's why it's so
expensive. Have a perfect mirror. You don't have to have it fixed and polished up. It's a brand new car. Okay, now you're going to tell me why you waited and why you gave him a lower estimate.
So if we didn't know, we're driving, 65 miles an hour.
We're past that already.
So
we have confirmed liability. Understand that. We have confirmed liability. This came off of your car. You're liable. Period.
Based on, I can't confirm or deny that.
Just a second.
That I was there.
You don't have to confirm or deny.
Or what date they
That's
gave.
what I'm here for. That's what they pay me all this money for.
Right.
There are 2 parts of a civil case: whether you're responsible for something, and if you are responsible for it, what the damages are. That's the 2 parts of a civil case. Already, in my judgment, met their burden to show that on the 9th of April, this piece from your car on the other side flew off and damaged their car. So liability is finished.
April 9th, can you ask them to confirm at what time? Because I'm a school teacher as well, so on my own
Listen
business.
to me. You're in the car, sir. You're in the...
So my magnet did fall off the car, but that doesn't necessarily state that my magnet came in contact with their car, and that's just not, I don't...
Mr. Mack, I don't
enough.
care what school teacher, I'm worried for the kids. I've explained it to you very carefully, Mr. Mack. I've explained it to you. This plus this establishes your liability. Period. The only question is damages. Now, in this case, the car, if the mirror was at all damaged, they're entitled to have a new mirror.
And which I tried to do.
Just a second.
Okay, go ahead.
So what I've said to you is 2 possibility damages. How do I know for sure it was your sign that came off your car that they retrieved from their mirror that looks like a sign on April 9th? How do I know that? I know that because it's common sense. And the law is not supposed to be an ass. Teach that to your children.
Thank you.
Okay? So the question is one of damages. Okay. Now, you were going to tell me, Ms. Fellows, without any drama and without any hearsay, it took you time to call him.
Okay.
And why you initially gave him a lower estimate.
Okay. We were on our way to our church meeting, so when we got there, we saw... So the next day, we called Jermaine Subaru, and my husband tried to explain over the phone what the part was. At that time, the person thought that they...
Now you're telling me hearsay.
Okay.
And you can't do that. You can't
but
do
I'm
that.
trying to explain why with the hesitation.
Okay.
So they have
So he had... You keep trying to talk faster to me, Miss Fellows. But what I'm telling you is, whether you talk faster or not, I'm not paying attention to what you're saying.
Okay. All right.
Now, if what you're telling me is that the first time you took the car into Germain Subaru, which is where you purchased the car, and it was the first written estimate that you got, I accept that. Don't tell me. My husband spoke to somebody on the phone. They described what the problem was. They gave him, you can't do that. Okay. That's hearsay.
Okay.
So the next day you took it into Germain Subaru, okay, and you called the defendant. So that was the 11th.
The first time we called him, I left him a very detailed message.
What
he
date?
He
what
never
date?
called me back.
What date?
April 10th.
Did you?
I did not receive a phone call nor a voicemail from her.
Okay, then I don't have to deal any further with this case, sir. No. Then you have to pay for a new mirror $26.11.
Now, after that, we did have a conversation over the phone.
Okay, well, after that, let's be clear. She sent a detailed message. Mm-hmm. Whether you received that message and decided to blow it off, I don't know. But I guarantee you that the next she initiated.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Right. And the next communication, you did answer the phone or you called her back?
I believe so, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the two of you spoke.
Right.
Is that when she gave you a lower estimate?
I don't recall giving me details about her taking pictures and.
Did she tell you she took the car into Germain?
I can't recall, but.
Then I'm going to go back minutes ago. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $726.11.
Ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The first initial $140.
We're done. We're done, Mr. Mark. We're finished. Do you understand? Do you understand? Two things. Just pay attention. And what you have to teach your students is when something happens that is more your fault than somebody else's fault, what you're supposed to do is take responsibility. I'm not 100% sure that it was the 9th. Where did I have the decals? And I'm not exactly sure. And then she calls you, leaves you a detailed message. You don't call her back. Pair estimate from Germain. They are a reputable.
May I see that?
Absolutely.
And I've tried to call this guy, and he hasn't returned my phone calls.
I don't know whether that's true or not, and I don't care.
Business owner Andre Mock owes for car repairs after his sign hit Tina's vehicle.
Now, all you have to do, sir, is spurt here, or you have for me something that is the cost price of a new mirror for a 2020 Subaru. I don't have to have that evidence. You did. And if you want to dispute this, do it. You can't tell me I tried to call him, he didn't call you back. That's ridiculous, Mr. Mock. It's a ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You are taking a ridiculous position. We're finished.
Court is adjourned.
Outside.
But the one we got over the phone, the person didn't understand what part we were talking about.
It went from $20 to $240 to $200.
Then they gave the cost for just the part. The final estimate was for the parts and labor, everything.
It's like a $500 difference between the two estimates. So
to go that far if I didn't have to take him to court and get that evidence.
This is the first time I've ever seen those pictures. So if that would have been the case back then.
It really was his. I'm sure you can see him in the car when we took the picture.
I definitely would have took the responsibility and accepted the fact that that my magnet did that damage.
And trying to inflate the cost or anything like that, it was just an honest thing of going back to the dealership and getting that complete estimate.
So that case reminded me of a lesson I learned, which was if it's more your fault than my fault, just take ownership, take responsibility. And that came after I got into an accident. Someone hit my car, and I came home and said to Dad, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. And he said, hold on. Is it more your fault than my fault? Because I was at home watching a movie. Did you say that I have to deal with this or you have to deal with this? And I said, you know what, you're right. And I think this is a good case of that, is even if it's not your fault,
intention.
You still need to take responsibility.
It may not be your intention, but the damage was your fault. You chose to put on these mag cows, but they can be dangerous. And if they damage somebody else's property, like here, there's no question of liability. Yeah. The question was damages. And it's vital to have a brand new mirror.
I agree.
That's it. Your father's right.
Case number 1147, Sanchez versus Sharif. All parties, please step forward.
Sanchez is suing tax preparer Darlene Sharif for the cost of legal document services and the loss of revenue.
What kind of business were you starting?
I was purchasing a chiropractic and acupuncture business.
Were you purchasing it from someone who had an existing practice?
Existing practice was a chiropractor, and I am an acupuncturist, so I had to purchase it from a chiropractor.
And was the chiropractor retired?
I was leaving the state.
So in effect, you were taking over his lease?
No, because since I'm an acupuncturist and they're a chiro, I did not purchase the business, the goodwill, so I started a brand new lease.
What was the name of the business?
Her business was called Inner Movement Wellness, a chiropractic corporation.
You pay her for the name Inner Movement Wellness?
I paid $220,000.
And you signed a new lease with the landlord?
Correct. I have.
Just a second.
But now instead of Inner Movement Wellness, a chiropractic, it's Inner Movement Wellness and Acupuncture, a professional corporation.
Were you represented by this $220,000?
Yes.
Negotiation?
Yes.
And the name of that attorney was what?
Lee.
How much did you pay?
Together paid him $6,000.
When?
June 7th.
Of this year?
Correct.
And you signed the lease when?
June 1st.
You retained the defendant to file papers for you so that you could start to do business as Inner Movement Wellness. Change it to an acupuncture. Is it a corporation or an LLC?
The acupuncture board says it has to say a professional corporation.
Okay. And when she's not a lawyer, she just prepares papers.
Well, she had done my son's nonprofit.
You know, she was not a lawyer.
Correct.
Mr. Lee was your lawyer. Correct. She was supposed to file to get papers for you so that you could start your business.
So I can open up a bank account and start my business, yes.
On what date did you make initial with regard?
On or about May 3rd or 4th, but I went into her office on May 7th.
Okay, this is what your case is about. We're going to go step office on May 7th. You signed the lease on June 1st.
Correct.
You say the paperwork, because of her negligence, was delayed several months so that you paid rye. Did you ever get the paperwork from the state?
Yes, I did.
On what date?
June 30th. I received a workable S-Corp, but to this date.
Just a second. So her work got you the paperwork that you needed to work by June 30th.
But she had promised
she promised to expedite it, madam. It's COVID. Nobody is working. You can't even get a license plate. So what you're suing for is the return of what you right, despite the fact that you got your paperwork, and for your potential lost income for a month.
Actually, I'm only asking for just 3 days, whole month of June.
She's not paying you for that.
Okay.
Just understand this. She's not paying you for your potential loss.
Well, I paid 3 times the normal going rate. My accountant was going to do it for $800.
Listen, you can't tell me what your accountant was going to do it for.
Well, no, it's the going rate.
Just tell me what the going rate is. You don't have experts here.
I Googled
it. I don't care what you Googled. What I'm telling you is, if you can establish some sort of negligence, and it has to be a serious negligence, most you can get is some sort of a refund from her.
Well, I tried to ask for one.
Don't speak. Just listen. She got you what you asked for. She got you the ability to work in a business in a relatively short. Now, the only thing that I want you to show me is you filled out paperwork on May 7th. I would like to see the paperwork that you filled out because you say that because of her negligence, that paperwork came back once.
It came back 3 times.
Or it came back 3 times. So let me see what you filled out. No, don't give me 3 letters. I want to see what you filled out with her. May I see that, please? So you went to her office, told her that the name of your business was Inner Movement Wellness, a professional corporation. That's what...
Okay, I told her I needed to help me because it was very...
No.
Claims tax preparer Darlene Sharif owes for the cost of losses after making several mistakes.
Now, you have to understand, this is what it's all about. You tell her what the name of your business is.
She's an expert and is supposed to be able to help somebody who doesn't know anything about this. She's also supposed to guide me, and she didn't guide me correctly.
So, Ms. told her that the name of your business, because you bought for $220,000, Inner Movement Wellness.
And I also...
Just a second. Actually, what I find fascinating is you bought the goodwill of a chiropractor who had been in, and you bought that goodwill, and the chiropractor did not have an acupuncturist there.
There is an acupuncturist there.
Did that acupuncturist come with you?
Continues to work there, yes.
With you?
Yes.
How many people work there?
I have 11 employees.
How many did you bring with you?
None.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I got it. So, Ms. Sharif, did you get anything back from the state with regard to this application?
For the petition, no, it goes directly to my client.
It went directly to Ms. Sanchez?
Yes, it did. And
well, can I see it? Does somebody have it? Did they not accept it? Name of the company?
To answer your question to the best of my ability, on June 30th, I did get the S Corp, and I do have this going through a third-party LegalZoom, which I could have done myself.
Listen, you have to understand something. I don't care.
Okay.
If what she went through was LegalZoom, any other app that gives lay people an opportunity to fill out paperwork, and if she decides to be an intermediary between you or you and somebody else, that's her business. And if after it's all over you say, well, I could have filled out the same paperwork, so I want my money back, that doesn't happen.
No,
that's
not why
I don't know what you want. You filled out these papers, and you have to show me where she did something wrong. Seems to me somebody who's paying $1,000 for a practice keeps the same lawyer. If they want a lawyer, if you want to do it on the cheap, you do it on the cheap. How much did she charge?
She charged well above and beyond.
Don't chatter.
$2,600.
Okay, so she charged you almost half of that to paperwork to operate as a business. That sounds penny wise and pound foolish to me. And the reason I'm short with you is you got what you paid for. And if my feeling is correct, it may not be, you're annoyed because you could have done the same thing through LegalZoom.
That's not why.
Now I'm going to see.
That's not why. I missed expedited service, and it took months.
No, it didn't take months. Because once you fill it out and file it, somebody's got to let me see the first letter. No, don't give me 3 pieces of paper. Give me the first letter that you got from them, which is what she said you got. And initially you... Okay, so you have to understand, this came to you on June 1st, which means it took somebody in the county, because this was sent in right away.
Right.
It took them almost a month to read it and respond to you. That's just a second. It's not her fault.
No, I
agree.
No.
Great.
But had she done it right, had that been right, I could have started then right there.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. If my parents had, I may have been taller than 5 feet tall. That's a possibility. And my brother is 5'9". I could have been 5'9", and he could have been 5 foot tall. That's a shoulda, woulda, coulda.
But expedited service when somebody's like struggling to purchase a business and keep things going.
Ms. Sanchez, you have absolutely no case. Business on June 30th, according to you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, the thing that you don't have is a DBA, which you have not received yet. So far, you have something pending with the Department of State, I assume, and that's doing business as.
Yes.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this. If you hire somebody able to, during this time when people are not in state offices, if you hire somebody else to get your DBA and pay them, you back to me and say, she was supposed to get me the DBA, and she didn't, for whatever reason, I had to hire somebody else and talk to you.
Okay.
Right now, she has paid to get you up and running in your business. You have 11 employees who have been working almost 4 months as a result of this work that she did. She got you what you needed to conduct your business.
But it wasn't timely.
Court is adjourned.
It's just unfortunate during these COVID times when mom and pops are trying to do their best.
Yeah, you really worked hard on her case.
That we still have people that want to take advantage and charge high prices.
But she just was very persistent.
And overcharge and underdeliver.
I'm sorry that she's unhappy.
And waste people's time.
Judy Justice, she did me well.
You know, I actually came away with 2 things. I think that the plaintiff was unreasonable. The process was completed enabling her less than 60 days. That would be a reasonable period of time, even if it wasn't for COVID. The defendant enabled her, through her work, to hire, employ, and make a living within 7 weeks of their meeting.
Yeah, almost impressive during COVID that it got done.
Almost impressive. So, and I honestly believe that her issue was that she could have done the same thing and filled out the same forms and did for probably $200. And the defendant charged her either $2,400 or $2,600.
Yeah.
So she felt as if she scammed because she could have done it herself. Well, that's on you.
Yeah. That's something you want to look into before you
engage
with
somebody. And she knew she wasn't a lawyer because, according to her, she had done work for the family before.
Mario Griffin for vandalism and emotional distress.
Court come to order. All right.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 1078, Levitt versus Griffith.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Lam, your complaint, it is your allegation that the defendant, who was your boyfriend and for a period of time you lived together, after the breakup of the relationship, vandalized both your house and your car. That's what you're suing him for.
Yes.
The defendant sort of acknowledges that he lost his temper once and he broke the house. He acknowledges that he did it, and he said he paid you $400 for the broken windows. As far as the other things are concerned, he denies that he caused any damage to your car. And he says, in addition, when you were living together, he purchased certain items for the house. He is no longer in the house, and he wants those items. In addition, he says that you filed a false police report against him, which we'll get to in a moment. That's what the case is about. So you have a counterclaim.
Yes.
So I need first, tell me the month and year that the two of you moved in together.
It was September 2017.
Did you move to he moved to your apartment, or did you move into an apartment or a house together?
We moved in together.
So you found an apartment together. Where had you been living previously?
And with his mom, and I was staying with mine.
And in 2017, when you moved in together, was the lease in both your names or in one name?
Mine.
And for that, I mean, it's a very good idea and one that I support, because if things don't work out, then somebody knows they have to go, rather than it being a joint involvement.
Okay, well, with his background, he wasn't eligible to get on the lease. He couldn't pass a background check.
Okay. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you're still, as a couple, living in this apartment when the breakup took place?
Yes.
Okay. And the breakup took place what month, day, and year?
25th, 2021.
And it was not an amicable breakup, so he left quickly?
Yeah, he still had time to get his thing.
Okay. Discussed breaking up?
No, he just left on his own.
On January 25th, tell me what happened. She said you just decided to leave.
January 25th, I'm a truck driver, so I'd be over the road driving trucks, and Danielle would call me while I'm over the road disturbing me, asking me if I'm on the phone with me.
Okay, so she's being jealous.
Yes.
Okay.
And like I say, it was a big distraction, and it's kind of frustrating because I have a...
Okay. I got it that you didn't want a distraction, but you've been together now 4 years and living together in the same place for 4 years. And there's a reason for it based upon your counterclaim, sir.
Okay.
Had you planned on leaving?
Well, we talked about it. We had some conversations, and I was like that. And
on what date did you tell her that it wasn't working?
January the 25th.
Is that when you came home from a job?
Yes.
So you were at home?
Yes. I was escorted out by the police.
Well, that's not a just left.
Right.
I mean, I don't remember because I'm old, but, I've been in various, but I don't remember ever calling the police to escort somebody out.
Well, that was the plan, for me to just leave like that, but she felt like I was grabbing some of my things, and she called the police and lied.
Okay, just a second. So that the plaintiff called the police. Love it. On the 25th of January, do you want to tell me why you called the police?
The 25th of January, the police wasn't called. We had been arguing, and on that day, he does a lot of drinking. He was drunk, and he just decided to, start with me. It got to the point where yelling, what's going on. He left. He got his things. He left. He told me to keep whatever, don't worry about nothing. I'm done. I'm going to my mama's house. I could do.
Okay, so he left and he said, I'm going to my mother's house.
Yeah, that time the police was not called.
When were they called?
It was the previous time before that in 2020. That's not when.
Sometimes people need their recollection refreshed. Does it refresh your recollection, sir, that the police were called in the year 2020, January 25th, 2021, when you just left?
But also then.
You have any proof that they were called that day?
No, I don't have any proof, and I can also in on like May 25th.
Okay, but you said you were leaving.
Yes.
And between January 25th and May 1, did you and the plaintiff have any contact?
Yes, I actually moved back in.
When?
End of February, March.
Is that right? We took a breather.
Yes.
And you took him back.
Yes.
And that didn't work out, and there was an incident in May.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of incidents.
Well,
so
just a
in
second.
May, we're not just
Wait, wait, 1 second.
Mario Griffin vandalized her car and caused him. Mario is countersuing for his belongings and an assault.
Is what you're saying to me, Miss Lovett, that between June 5th, you and the defendant continued to have contact, and he moved back in at the end of March of 2021?
Yes.
Until when?
March till August 3rd.
Well, then I'm confused, and I'm confused because of this complaint that the damage you're complaining about happened on February 11th.
Yes, he left.
Just a second. And then damage to your windows and or your car. You resumed living together in March.
Yes, that's when he came back.
You continued living several months.
Yes.
Sleeping together.
Yes.
Eating together.
Yes.
Socializing together.
Yes.
Then quite what happened in February. And neither does any court care what happened in February. You two were keeping house. There's a word in the law called condonation, and that means it's between a couple, and they have a fight and a spat, and they break things, and they call each other names, and they call their in-laws names, and then they go back to living. The courts don't care about it, because you evidently didn't care about it. You didn't care about it enough not to resume your relationship with him. I don't care. And I'm not going to assist you in fixing things that he may have broken, that he may have done while you took him back and you continued to live together. So your case is dismissed. Now, I'm going to get to the counterclaim. That's easy. Did he buy a deep freezer?
We purchased together.
Is that correct?
No.
Prove to me that you purchased it alone.
I have the receipt here, and it's my bank account. And,
okay, I'd like to take a look at it.
Okay. Here's the receipt, the treasure chest in the stereo system.
Now, what was purchased at Home Depot was $151.08. Do you have the receipt for the surround sound system? That's either a yes or a no.
No.
Okay. Do you have a receipt for a sectional?
I have.
I'd like to see it.
Okay, I'll take that there. And this just because I financed it, but it says paid in full. That one's, yeah, that's the one that said paid in full.
What is this? This is a lease to own.
Right, it's just a paper up there that says paid in full, 0 for the furniture, and sectional in a queen size bed.
Okay. And this was 15th of December of 26, a customer receipt. Yes. Well, let me ask you the following questions before I go through all of these things. So this is all old stuff.
Yes.
Okay. And the day you bought her, you say you bought her and then you turned off service, which is you have every right to do. And in what year was the iPhone 11 purchased?
The purchase 2021.
In what month?
March 27th.
When you moved back in?
Yes.
No.
Did you give it to her as a gift?
No, I have a business account, and by me having a business account, I'm able to get business phones, and so said, hey, I can get an extra iPhone.
Great. All right. You have your iPhone?
Yeah,
great.
I still have it.
Great. Great. Did you put it on a new payment?
My
That's either a
phone
yes
number
or a no.
to it, I can't do anything with it. He cut it off, took my phone number, and...
Just a second. So you can't do anything with it. Well, he's not going to pay for it. So frame it. I don't know what you want to do with it. Okay. When you lived together, did you have a joint bank account?
No, we did not.
Okay. Can you tell me, I have just a couple of bills for a 4-year-old bedroom set, which I know that the two of you used, and one is a receipt for $151.80 for he says he paid for it. You said we purchased it. Explain that to me.
I gave him like $50 on it. We purchased it together.
What about the bedroom set?
The bedroom set, he moved out. I have a receipt where I purchased my own furniture set right here. He brought his back. His bed, he sold. He only brought a mattress back, not the box spring. He sold the mattress to his friend last year for $50. So the bed isn't even there.
I'm not following you. When did you buy a new bedroom set?
I bought a bedroom set because he moved out once and he took what he bought. So December 2018, I bought a sectional and a bed. He brought his back broken.
Just a second. So you were living together in 2018 for a period of time? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
And when you separated back in January of 18 for a period of time, because I got this was a back and forth, you're saying bedroom set with him?
Yes.
And you purchased another one?
Purchased another.
Is that what you're saying? Does that have a ring of familiarity to you?
Yeah, when I moved my furniture out at the time, in January.
Yes.
We end up getting back together, and it's a 2-bedroom apartment. And bring the furniture back, bring everything back, bring the TV back, all this and that. We're back together. So I bought all my furniture back. I bought everything back. She did purchase another bed and another furniture set
That
section.
the two of you used together?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then let me ask you this. So what you're telling me is that the bedroom, the only thing I'm interested in, I'm not interested in a 2-year-old freezer that cost $100. The bedroom set that you purchased was in the second bedroom?
No, it was in
And what did you do with the one that she
in
purchased?
the second bedroom.
Oh, I cannot believe I went to 10 years postgraduate school for this.
Yeah.
His father would be proud.
Of it, has accused her ex-fiancé, Mario Griffin, of vandalizing her car and harassment. Claims Danielle refuses to give back belongings he purchased.
Let me put it to you this way. Do you have any of his bedroom?
Nothing. Not there. Nothing.
Nothing. She has nothing.
Not bedroom.
She has nothing.
She's lying.
Okay.
No bed. Couch is there, broken.
Just a second. The couch is there, and it's in your apartment?
Yes.
Great. So you have 5 days to get it out. Do you understand? Okay. If you don't get it out of her apartment with a move days on notice to her as to what day you're coming, you will have considered the sofa abandoned. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. This case. Your claim is dismissed because of the reasons that I stated. You have my judgment. Do you understand?
Yes.
Court is adjourned.
Well, it wasn't fair because he did the damages, but he's still going to pay for it.
I kind of think it's anything, you know.
You know, whether we got back together, he still did it, so that was not fair at all.
I'm a truck driver, so I make a...
He could kick rocks. He could kick rocks.
She could use it for her benefits, you know.
He's a narcissist. He could find the next victim.
Glad. Hey, I'm gonna move on, you know. That's basically it.
So can you just explain a little bit why, if he did damage the home or the car, while getting back together, enough of an out for him to not be responsible for that sort of damage?
Well, I took a term that I learned in law school, which is, and when you sue for the damage that your mate, your spouse did during the course of a marriage, you may use a course of reason for a divorce, but courts can't go back and rewrite history. Now she's going back 6 months and say, well, he broke the windows in my house and he's car. Well, evidently you weren't upset about it enough not to let somebody who had that propensity back into your life and back into your bedroom. So it's a good lesson for everybody, especially for women. Leopards don't change their spots, usually. Anyway, condonation. Be smart.
1088, Smothers versus Smothers. All parties, please step forward.
John Smothers is suing his twin brother, Chad Smothers, the profits from selling a house.
Mr. Smothers, this is your brother. It is your claim that he owes you your share of the profit from...
Yes, Judge.
I read your complaint. I read the answer. And it appears that you purchased 2 houses at auction.
Yes.
Did that take place?
2012.
And the purpose of purchasing the houses was for you and your brother to sell them at a profit.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a written contract with your brother?
I have no written contract.
So this was an oral agreement with regard to real estate?
Agreement. I bought the houses. The only reason he came to the auction was to put the houses in his name.
Listen, you put the houses in his name. The houses are in his name. If you say there was no agreement between the two of you to flip these houses, which I actually thought you said there was, Houses were purchased in 2012. They were put in your brother's name, so he owns the two houses.
Your Honor, we did have an agreement. We had the two houses together at the beginning, and one would be his and one would be mine.
That's not the agreement whatsoever. I bought the houses for me and her and eventually sell the other one. He had nowhere else to live. He had nowhere to go. Lost his job. So he moved into a house that was, for all intents and purposes, unlivable. There was no agreement or anything to the time he sold the house behind my back that he had anything to do but other than live in the house.
Smothers.
Yes.
You're the complainant, Jay Smothers. Let me read to you what you wrote in your sworn complaint. Chad is my identical twin brother. I was in the military, and when I was done, I was good at building and renovation, so I had the idea to start buying cheap properties, fix them up, and then flip them for profit. That's what you wrote. That's your first time I did this, I went to an auction with my children's mother and Chad. That would be you. I had to put the houses in my brother's name in order to get erroneous liens. I bought the two houses. I was going to live in one, and Chad and I were going to renovate both properties. That's what you're mistaken when you said that?
No, I was not mistaken.
Think about what you just said and what I just read to you that you wrote.
The houses were purchased for my plan, my idea. He had nowhere else to live. Yes, I eventually, when he moved into the house, I agreed that if he's going to live there and do work on it, no payment, no nothing, that he would be able to eventually, when we sold the house together, that yeah, he would get some of the money, but it wasn't his house to sell. It was my money, my plan, my investment during the auction.
He did sell $2,700 into the house.
Keep going.
And I made it worth enough to sell.
You sold the house for $20,000, and then the next buyer sold it for $108,000. I feel like you stole that whole amount from me. It wasn't your property to sell, and if you sold it, you should have at least told me before you bought another house. And didn't even tell me, and I found out through a friend that you had this money now, and didn't even give me a single nickel off of it. Now, maybe we didn't have an exact agreement on how much you should get or how much I should get, and you only got $30,000 for it.
I got nowhere near.
Are they getting it out of their system? Yeah? Goodbye. Your case is barred by the statute of limitations.
He was living in a house. 2017, he sold it and didn't tell me that he even sold it.
I put all my blood, sweat, and tears into fixing that house up. He didn't do it.
I should have been able to at least get half of the money from the profit from him selling that house.
Not everyone always gets a return on their investment. Sometimes people lose money on their investments. I wish this didn't keep us from being brothers, but maybe we can work it out later.
Yeah, blood is thicker than water, but blood will hurt you just as worse than anybody else.
There's a perfect example of why courts insist that you bring your actions if there's a breach of a contract, if there's an accident, if there's a claim of negligence, within a reasonable period of time. But the theory of it is that memories are fresh, documents are fresh. This guy couldn't even remember his complaint to the story he just began to tell me. So there is a reason why courts insist that a case be fresh, because memories are clear.
Outside of that fresh period.
His former girlfriend and the mother of their daughter, Ginger Gibbons, for wrongful eviction and the value of his property.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 11, Gibbons.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, Mr. Eber.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know, there's a saying about somebody who doesn't learn from, they keep making the same mistake over and over and over again. And I read your complaint. You and the defendant had a long-standing relationship, only that you made a child together. That child is now how old?
6.
Every once in a while, you sort of float in, and then you fight with her, and you stay out for a few months, and then she lets you back in, right?
Right.
And you're together for a little bit, and you have a fight, and she kicks you out. And you live in your truck, you stay with friends, whatever it is. And then you come back. Complaint. Probably happened more often, but it happened recently in the last couple of years 3 times.
Yes, ma'am.
And so the first thing alleging is that she has committed on 3 separate occasions, recently, probably happened many times in the past, wrongful eviction. Couple of questions before I actually put the 4th line through this wrongful eviction claim. 3 of the recent times that she gave you the boot, were you on the lease?
No.
How could she evict you if you weren't on the lease?
Well, she moved in, lived with her from day one.
From day one, what is day one? Give me day one.
February of...
Well, February of 2020, your daughter was 5, and you were not on the lease.
No.
And how long did you live there before she...
3 or 4 months.
Okay, then you had a fight.
Yeah.
And she called the police, tossed you out.
I called the police.
Well, you called the police. She said he's not on the lease. They tossed you. How did you get back?
I was living in my car. I had nowhere to go. So, I mean,
Okay,
it was
so you
after
were living in your car. You had nowhere to go, and...
Well, we had both lost everything. We were, we both moved in there together. When she started collecting welfare, I was still living there and helping, you know.
It's too much information for me,
Okay.
sir. When you moved back in with her, that was after she had thrown you out once.
Right.
Did you say, I'll move back in with you, but I want to be... No. So that you knew from the first time that if the police were called, she's going to say, he's not on the lease, and he doesn't live. You moved back in with her, with your daughter, because your daughter remained with her.
Right.
In what month?
I can't really recall the dates.
Well, I remember she doesn't have to help you. And then she threw you out again. Were the police called?
Yes, I've called the cops every time that we've had a problem with their drug use.
Okay. You called. I assume that that's a yes.
Yes.
And when the police came, they told you to leave, and you left.
Yep.
Yep is a yes.
Yes, sorry.
Stayed in your car again.
Right.
For how long?
A couple months.
How'd you get back in?
The third time I didn't. It was the last time. I bought an RV.
2 times. So it's only 2 times that she threw you out.
There's more than it was more than twice.
Let's move on to something else where you might be more successful. Of rent. What rent do you want?
I have evidence right here of monies that I've given her.
I don't care what money you gave her. When you paid rent, you were living there.
Yeah, well, I paid in advance for months. I've paid $17.50 at one time.
Just a second. In what year?
December 31st of 2020, right when she moved in there, to help her move in.
Good. I mean, with your daughter.
Right.
Do you regulate, Mr. Eber?
Yeah, this is part of the child support, but she was collecting welfare fraudulently and not reporting the money I was giving her.
That's terrible. Did you find that out?
When they started garnishing or taking money out of my bank account.
You mean you didn't know that she was collecting welfare?
No.
How did you think she was supporting herself?
I gave her half my welfare money. There was $4,800, and I gave her $3,000.
Half of your welfare money?
Yeah, I gave her most of it.
Just a second.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Just a second. I need an eraser. Go erase my brain. She gets welfare for herself and your daughter.
Right.
And you get welfare for you.
No.
Well, what do you mean your welfare money?
I'm a painting contractor, and then...
So I don't understand. Did he say I gave her half my welfare? I'm sorry,
No, half of her money from losing...
Wildfire.
Wildfire money.
Was that what he said?
I heard welfare.
I heard
said
welfare.
wildfire.
You have to be careful.
Sorry.
You see, thank God you heard what I heard. Half of your wildfire money.
And that
Just
was
a
like
second.
over.
Just a second. Wildfire money. That's a new one. Get up. Wildfire money. This wildfire was the Paradise Fires?
Yes, ma'am.
And together during the Paradise Fires?
Yes.
In what kind of establishment?
In her parents' house.
So you were living with Miss Gibbons in her parents' daughter.
Right.
And the wildfires destroyed your parents' house? No.
No, it had damages, but they had to fix it on the market shortly after and sold it.
There was a fire. I don't know if I could look into the insurance proceeds of what was paid.
Then for curiosity, who did you get money from?
The Northern, I forget the name of it, but we got, I think it was $10,000. Everybody that was in the fire.
So you got $10,000?
Right, and so did she.
For being dispossessed from her parents' home?
Yes. No, I lost my business in the fire.
No. Those are separate things. If you lost your business in the fire, that's another thing. Where was your business located?
Paradise, California.
Separate from where her parents were?
Right.
Okay. And what was the name of the business?
Dale's Painting.
Dale's Painting. Where are you located now?
The business is I haven't changed the address to the new address.
Let's move on, Mr. Ebert, to something else, please.
Claims his former girlfriend and the mother of their daughter, Ginger Gibbons, owes for evicting him multiple times and damaging his property. Is countersuing for an assault.
Okay, let's move on to replacement value of damaged property. Because as you see, I'm singularly other parts of your complaint. Replacement value of damaged property. What property and how did she damage it?
She put all my stuff out on.
What stuff?
My clothes, my DVDs, my computer.
On what date did she put your stuff out?
I don't know the dates because she's the one that.
On what date were you missing your clothes? Was that the same day you were missing your computer?
No, actually, I had left my computer. You know, she had put my computer out with my clothes. It was all soaking wet. Okay. Yeah, that was the same day I was. Yes, I was missing my computer.
Okay. You have a counterclaim for assault, primarily for assault. So I have a couple of questions because clearly people have nothing better to do than to come here. I, on the other hand, have better. I read your answer and I read your counterclaim. You say in January 2021, he grabbed your purse, claimed that you had drugs, and grabbed me by the hands, spraining your pinky. Then I'm jumping forward to May of 2021 when you say I filed a restraining order against him. Fine. That's what you wrote in your answer, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you a simple question. My question to you is between January 21st and on or about May, did Mr. Eber live with you?
No.
When did he leave?
It was that at the time right around the assault.
Well, what happened between January and May?
I did file a restraining order on that incident, and he convinced me to not go through with it. And
just a second. How did he convince you?
He threatened me mostly.
Tell me.
That he.
Where? Just a second.
I'm sorry.
I want you to tell me. Where was he when he convinced you? Was he on the phone? Was he on texts? Was he in person? Where was he when he convinced you not to go forward?
In multiple areas.
Well, multiple areas.
So I have text messages and phone conversations.
What about in person? What about him?
Face, no.
Between January 2020 now, has he been in your home?
No.
Have you been in his home?
No.
So where have you met?
Either outside of the. Actually, I haven't been able to get him to cooperate with any kind of scheduling or anything like that. He pretty pleases.
Comes and goes where?
Well, I mean, to the house or whatever to see the baby. Actually. He has not been allowed to come as of May.
I have to tell you about courts, both of you. We're busy, and nonsense has nothing to do with courts. And if you want to have a discussion with somebody about your personal business and how you can't get along, or go to a counselor, go to Dr. Phil, go to somebody who can negotiate visitation, spend some of your wildfire, a therapist who can help you negotiate how to raise and co-parent this little girl, because you have a little girl together.
Can I address her?
I'm throwing it out.
Okay.
It's nonsense. The whole thing is nonsense. Your case is nonsense. Her case is nonsense. Courts don't care. Get along. Don't live together. But don't keep torturing each other, because in the process of torturing each other, what you're doing is you have a child who's a baby growing up with two crazies. She keeps letting you come back in. She tosses you out. You come back in. You float in and out. She may act irresponsible, have a legitimate claim with regard to her parenting skills.
I do.
What you do is you go to family court and you file a petition so they can set a visitation schedule with your child if you want visitation. And if you have a legitimate complaint with her with regard to complaint that she is a substance abuser, go to family court and file for custody of your daughter.
I got all the papers right here. All the papers and proof that she's the aggressive person.
No, listen to me. You're not listening. You're floating around in the air. You're in the wrong place. You want money. And what I'm telling you is, if you have a legitimate complaint with regard to her parenting skills, go to family court where they will award you custody if you're right. Right now, all you're doing is what my grandmother would say, you're blepturing. You're complaining, and you're not putting your money where your mouth is. You want to put your money where your mouth is about a legitimate complaint about her being an aunt. And you would be a better parent for your daughter. Go to family court, where you're not seeking $10,000, where you're seeking the right thing for your child. And
yes.
Perfect. Goodbye.
Court is adjourned.
I don't know. I guess she's right.
I understand completely.
Well, substance abuse.
I do not have a substance abuse problem.
The neglect to my daughter.
I have all the love in the world for my daughter, of course.
Destroying my personal property, and sometimes she's thrown me out.
Good parents for our daughter, absolutely, that would be great.
Sarah, we talk about this all the time, and it's something that I've said a million times. You have to love those children more than you hate each other, because that's your responsibility. It's as much of a responsibility for mental health as it is to put food on the table. It's just so sad to me that this little girl has to live through this toddler period, which isn't going to get better.
It's unfortunate.
Case number 1148, Castillo versus Signs. All parties, please step.
Ralph and Raquel Castillo are suing photographer Dirsu Sainz for the return of their deposit.
Mr. and Mrs. Castillo, to speak for the two of you.
I will.
She gave you a look.
Okay. Better ask again.
I'm going to speak for you.
I am.
Good.
To make sure you didn't give me that look.
Mr. Castillo, she was going to have a celebration. I think it's for her 15th birthday.
Yes.
And that has a special name.
Correct. Quinceañera.
Quinceañera, the genesis of that celebration. Why 15?
It's a celebration of a transition of a young girl into
Castillo claimed photographer Dirsu Sainz is wrongfully keeping their deposit. Quinceañera was canceled.
Okay, what's your daughter's first name?
Victoria.
Unfortunately for Victoria, she was celebrating her 15th birthday during the... But prior to that, you had hired the defendant to do the photography and videography for the quinceañera. In what month was your daughter supposed to celebrate her birthday, sir?
April.
And you retained the defendant's services on what date?
November 15th to 29th.
Did you finally retain him? Because you came to a figure, and the figure that you came to with him was $750.
When we gave him the deposit of $50.
And what was the total amount to be?
$1,750.
Case is a relatively simple one. The party had to be canceled because of COVID restrictions. You tried to get a refund from Mr. Sainz?
Yes.
And you were unsuccessful in getting a refund from him. And then it was your birthday.
Yes.
And since she missed her 15th big celebration, you thought that the family could now have a smaller celebration in 21, and you asked Mr. Sainz if he would take photographs of that.
Yes.
Where was that held?
At our home, it was just myself, my wife, and my daughter. We weren't really getting into having a party.
When you called him to come and take those pictures of her 16th birthday, tell me about that with regard to payment.
Well, we had asked them if we would be able to get a refund, but if we could work something out where we can maybe get a few photos, something from the refund, since he was having a hard time coming up with the money. And he said, don't worry, I'll take care of you.
Okay, so without any further discussion, you have and take photographs on...
It was actually January.
Got it. Okay, so he came to the house in January. What time did you get to the house, Mr. Sainz?
About 1:30, 1:45.
And what time did you leave?
It was maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock or so.
And during that 2-hour period, he was taking photographs of yourself, your wife, and your daughter?
Correct.
When he left, he told you he would provide you with photographs?
Correct.
Did he do that?
Partially.
What did he provide you with?
53 pictures and 2 minutes and 53 seconds of video on email.
Yeah, do it these days.
Correct.
Okay. So you have those photographs?
Not physically. He said that we can go to Walmart and have them printed.
Okay. Do you have
some photographs?
May I see them, please? Did you go to Walmart and have them printed?
We never got the thumb drive that he promised.
Just a second. Mr. Sainz, deliver them a thumb drive?
I did not. I emailed all the photos and the video.
Okay. Beautiful photographs, sir. Did you look at all the photographs that he emailed you?
Yes.
Well, they're lovely, and you look beautiful.
Thank you.
You were asking for your refund of your deposit. He was at your house for 2 hours. He sent you 53 photographs. He took video. We're entitled to your deposit back. For $750, he came to your house, which means he traveled to your house. I don't know where you live. Where do you live?
Corona. Like Maria, it's about an hour.
So he had an hour travel time each way. That's 2 hours. And he spent 2 hours with you. That he provided you with 50 photographs that I assume had to have some work done on them, because they always do. And he provided you with video. 4 hours, and he provided you with a product. Why in the world do you think he is responsible for giving you $750 back?
Well, because we only received 2 seconds of video.
And
53 pictures and no thumb drive.
Well,
how are we going to put up the pictures that you have in your hand without the thumb drive?
I am so challenged when it comes to doing that. I am so challenged. But I know if you send them by email that you can take someone at a CVS. They do that, Mr. Castillo, for old people in Florida. We go in there as if we haven't a clue. We walk in, anybody help us? We have pictures that are locked in our phone. And we don't know how to work this machine. And some young person comes in, they shove something from your phone into a machine, and they press a couple of buttons, and voila, out spits out the pictures. It's like magic. It's like a genie. And then you say, thank you very much. You give them $20 for their trouble. And that's how you, Mr. Castillo, that's how you email. You take it in and you say to them, I have this. Could you help me? I'm old and I'm like Judge Scheindlin. I don't know what I'm doing to me. Is there any way, Mr. Saints, just for my own information, is there any way that you can take this, because he seems to know something, Now, I have heard that term before, and I actually know it looks like a fob or something. Is there any way that you could send him that?
I could.
Mr. Saints, I want you to be a saint. That might be easier for him. Because what he says is, if he had that, he doesn't know what to do with it with an email, okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Would you take care of that?
Of course.
How long will that take you to take care of that, to send him a thumb?
You'll get in his house.
Promise me?
I swear.
Very good. You have no case against him, Mr. Castillo. Your case is dismissed. You get that to him. Otherwise, I'm coming to look for you.
Court is adjourned.
All right. I feel that if we would have got the thumb drive from the very beginning instead of waiting all these years, we wouldn't be here today.
I am very happy with the decision made.
Finally, we'll get some, end result with the work he put into it, and we'll actually physically have it so we can use it.
I'll send the thumb drive to that way they'll get going with their life, and I will with mine.
All those people seemed lovely, and I think the plaintiffs were trying to get their money. They were unable, because of COVID, like so many other people, to have this special celebration. But I think that the deposit that they did pay is pretty similar to what for this sort of photo shoot, for 50 or so photos, a little videography. They sort of canceled each other out, and I don't think the plaintiffs realized that until today.
You know, sometimes you need somebody in life, you need somebody to blame for something. You can't blame COVID for the fact that your daughter did once-in-a-lifetime event of transitioning at age 15. So it was easier to blame this photographer. And they really got professional pictures in their home, custom, with a thumb drive.
How to get it printed.
Yes, with a thumb drive for
Chào, lại là mình đây, là chào mừng mọi người quay trở lại với kênh dạy học của mình. Hôm nay chúng mình sẽ lại cùng nhau quay trở lại với môn toán. Và bài tập mà chúng mình làm hôm nay sẽ là bài tập số 1 phần 1 ở trang 120. Ở bài tập số 1 này ta sẽ có đề bài là chọn câu trả lời đúng. Và mình sẽ có 3 câu là A, B, C. Và mình sẽ cùng nhau làm câu A nhé. Kiểu câu A ta sẽ có đề bài là hiệu của 783 và 745 là bao nhiêu. Bây giờ để biết được thì mình sẽ phải lấy 783 trừ đi 745. Bây giờ chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau trừ nhá, xong chúng ta sẽ ra kết quả, sau đó mình sẽ lựa chọn nha. Đó, thì ở đây để tính được người ta sẽ phải lấy 783 trừ đi 745. 783 là trừ đi 745. Ta sẽ có là 13 trừ 5 bằng 8, ta viết 8 đến 1 này. 4 đến 1 là 5, 8 trừ 5 bằng 4, ta sẽ viết 4 và 7 trừ 7 sẽ bằng 0. Vậy kết quả đây sẽ là bằng 40, 48 và các đáp án sẽ là C. Đó, đây là mình đã hoàn thành xong câu A bài tập số 1 rồi. Video của mình đến đây cũng đã kết thúc. Tạm biệt mọi người và hẹn gặp lại mọi người video tiếp theo với những bài tập tiếp theo nhé. Tạm biệt và hẹn gặp lại.